From the beautiful sun-kissed island of Kauai, it's Animal Talking. Tonight, join Gary and his guests, Kate Stark, Shroud, Damon Albarn, and Jamie Hewlett, and a special musical performance by Gorillaz featuring Beck. And now, because this show apparently just will not die, here's your host, Gary Whitta!
Oh my goodness. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? We are back. We are back. Animal Talking is back. I am back, your creator and host of the show, Gary Whitta, and you, sir, Adam Nickerson, are also back. My trusty band leader, sidekick, confidant, and many other things. Editor, technical producer. He does all kinds of magic, both in front of and behind the scenes. Adam Nickerson, how are you, sir?
I am doing great for the second time.
Okay, look, you didn't have to bring it up, but you did. So let's just address it. We did. This is the second time we're doing this. I forgot to press record, and we did about 50 minutes of really good content that just flooded away into the ether because I forgot.
Might have been our best content ever.
It might have been the best content we've ever done, and of course, and now it's lost to time. Only you, me, and our friend Kate, who is waiting in the wings right now, will ever know just how good that first take was. But I am determined to take this problem and turn it into an opportunity and make this second take even better. We're getting it right. We have been gone, Adam. Can you believe Animal Talking has been off the airwaves? I don't know. Is it airwaves on the internet? It's been off the series of tubes for 8 weeks. We've been gone for 2 months. People have been struggling to get by in their daily lives without any fresh Animal Talking content for 2 whole months. Can you believe it?
That is absolutely ridiculous.
It's just not right. And that's why I wanted to bring the show back. We did end on a real high note earlier this season, 2 months ago, when we did our last show. We had Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, was here talking about the next generation. A lot of people got a kick out of the idea of the head of Xbox appearing essentially on a talk show taking place inside a Nintendo platform. But he was a tremendous sport, really, really great to talk to. Really one of my favorite people in the video games industry. If you haven't seen it, do go and check out our last episode that we did with Phil Spencer. We had Lisa Loeb came on the show. The wonderful Lisa Loeb came on and performed 3 songs live and even got Phil Spencer singing along with her. That was amazing. And the incredible Dylan Sprouse came on at the show and talked to us all about the nuts and bolts of making mead and how to make mead. He has his own meadery in Brooklyn. I just thought he was incredibly fascinating. Adam, I just thought that like eclectic selection of guests was a great example of what Animal Talking can do at its best, bringing together people from all over the world, all different walks of life. And we just had such a fun time doing that show. And we have a fun time doing every show.
The variety of comments under that one are great too.
Yeah, it's a really good one. I'm very proud of it. And this is going to be another good one as well. I have a very, very good feeling about the guests we have on the show tonight. So what have we all been up to for the past 7 or 8 weeks that Animal Talking's been off the air? The reason why Animal Talking went off the air for a bit is because putting the show together is just so time consuming every week. I just didn't have the time to do it on a regular weekly basis. I needed a bit of a break just to kind of figure out a smarter way to do the show where I could continue doing it to like the level and the standard that I think everyone's come to expect from it, which is not particularly high, but nevertheless, we want to continue to try to meet it without it taking away too much time from my actual day job. And we've been working on that. In the meantime, I can't help myself. I retired one talk show for a bit, immediately started another one. Me and my good friend Kate Stark, who works here on Animal Talking, is actually a guest on the show this evening. You'll be meeting her very soon. We are co-hosts of another talk show that takes place inside another video game. We have a show called Talk Guys that takes place inside Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, and we interview celebrities while playing Fall Guys. And Kate's I'm sure going to tell us more about that when she's on in just a moment. And Adam, you've been very busy also. I guess from your adventures here on Animal Talking and some of the other stuff that we've been doing together, you've kind of gotten the Twitch bug and you have started your own Twitch channel. Tell us all about that.
I definitely caught the bug and I've been trying to shake it off and doing everything I can, being obnoxious, annoying, and not that entertaining. but people continue to watch me.
I agree with everything you just said. No, I'm really, I applaud you. I'm really glad that you've enjoyed the Twitch streaming. I love what you're doing over there. I love the kind of retro aesthetic that you have. This community that you, what are they called? The Ding Dongs?
Yes, they name themselves the Ding Dongs after one of my games, and we even have a cross section called the Only Dongs. They are a cross section of the Ding Dongs and the Only Shans. Only Shans, of course, being the wonderful Shannon Woodward's fan base.
So Shannon, of course, another friend of the show, and she's been on the show before. She's coming back again soon, in fact. That to me has really been the greatest gift of this show, is like meeting and becoming friends with people from other walks of life that you wouldn't, normally meet. And I love that you and Shannon have hit it off as well and become good friends. And she's always popping into our channels, and we're popping into hers. We built like a nice little kind of animal talking family that I'm really proud of. Tell us, Adam, about what are some of the things that when people go to twitch.tv/Nickavision, and I know you're going to slap a very obnoxious logo up on the screen as I say that, knock yourself out.
Oh, I'll make it flash. Maybe I'll even spin it around. Maybe I'll bounce it around like the DVD icon. It'll be all over the place.
That's fine. It just cannot contractually be bigger or flashier than mine. That's the only restriction that I put on this. So when people go over there to twitch.tv/Nickavision, what kind of content? What are you up to over there? What are you doing? You playing video games? What are you chatting? What's up?
Yeah, sometimes we chat. Sometimes we play Fall Guys. We play Among Us with some of our community friends and folks like yourself, Gary. We even have things like Retro Nights where we get together and the community tells me what games to play, and I play games from everyone else's childhood while they kind of explain what they really like about it.
I love it. For those of you who may be joining us for the first time and are not familiar with what the hell you're watching right now, this is Animal Talking, the world's first and only virtual late night talk show that takes place entirely inside a video game, the world of Nintendo's Animal Crossing. And we started this back in April just as a way to kind of hang out with our friends in a virtual space at a time in which, it's obviously notoriously difficult to hang out, in the real world. We're all kind of stuck at home right now. So created the show as a way to kind of put a smile, first and foremost, on my own face, give me something to do, and hopefully on the faces of other people who are tuning in. And I think we have. If Animal Talking has been successful at one thing, it's been successful at that. I've really been so honored and flattered and pleased to see how many people really enjoy watching the show and how much it's kind of cheered them up at a time when we could all use a bit of cheering up. And we've had these incredible celebrity guests. I mean, my goodness, some of the most famous people in the world have graced that yellow couch behind me. Selena Gomez, Sting sat on that couch playing us, songs from his guitar. Danny Trejo, Elijah Wood, Brie Larson. The list just goes on and on and on. But I really want to stress the whole point of the show initially was never to go, shopping for big celebrity guests. I really just did want to hang out with my friends, and I still think it's that. It's just that some of our friends, as it turns out, are more famous than others, and I really love that mix, and we're going to continue doing that. To be honest, though, I honestly kind of hoped we'd be done by now. This show was started as kind of a response to the fact that everyone's having a miserable year, and I kind of imagined that once everything went back to something like normal, I would retire the show and get back on with my life. But it seems like everyone's misery isn't going anywhere. We're going to be stuck with this for a bit longer, and so Animal Talking is going to keep going at least until people don't need it as an artificial kind of cheer you up incentive. We're going to keep going. So we are back. We're back with a special show. I'm going to tell you a bit more about that in a moment. But first of all, I want to tell you about what we're doing next week. I'm very, very pleased to announce. I love, as you may know, Adam, I love Halloween. Are you a Halloween fan?
What is that called? A Halloweenie? Am I a Halloweenie?
Are you I guess it is now. Are you a Halloweenie?
I'd say I'm a Halloweenie.
Well, you and all the other Halloweenies out there, like me, are going to be thrilled to learn that next week, Friday, October 30th at 7 p.m. Pacific, we will be back with a new live show, and not just any live show. It's a very, very special show, the Animal Talking Halloween Spooktacular. Oh my God. The Animal Talking Halloween Spooktacular is coming your way next Friday night, October 30th, 7 p.m. We will be on the front page of Twitch, and we are going to be having a lot of fun. We're going to have some of our favorite guests of all time are going to return. I like that sound effect so much. I'm going to play it again. Check this out. Oh, It's so spooky. It's so spooky. It gave me a chill. The Halloween
Are you saying
Spooktacular.
spooky?
Well, I personally don't like the word spoopy. I think spooky's already did that job. I don't know why we needed to add something to it. But if you like, sure, it's going to be spoopy. It's going to be the Spooktacular, if you like, Adam. How about that?
I don't like that.
I don't either. So let's just stick with what we had. Okay. Next Friday, yes, please do come. We're gonna tell ghost stories. We're gonna tell spooky jokes. We're gonna dress up. I'm gonna dress the set to make it look very spooky. Indeed, we're gonna have a lot of fun, and that is gonna be live next Friday night on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Gary Whitta. And Adam, please do splash that up on the screen as loudly and garishly, as obnoxiously as you like. Twitch.tv/Gary Whitta.
I'll give it the same treatment I gave mine, for sure.
Thank you very much. I demand nothing less. And of course, Twitch is usually the medium that we broadcast on. We usually go out live on Twitch, and then people can go watch the archived editions, the episodes on YouTube, right here at youtube.com/GWhitta after the fact. But we're doing something a little bit different tonight. We are debuting this episode as a YouTube premiere. This is a rare pre-recorded show. And the reason we're doing it I always prefer to do it live when possible, but sometimes, every now and again, this is actually the first time that it's happened, we have a particular selection of guests who are so wonderful and so glamorous and so busy that the only way to get them all on the same show together is to pre-record it at a time that is more convenient for them. So for the first time, you are actually watching this show debuting here on the YouTube channel. I doubt we'll do this too often going forward, but maybe once or twice in the future we'll do it again. And we'll be back on our regular, well, maybe kind of irregular, a Twitch streaming schedule going forward. I think the plan is Animal Talking is going to continue going, maybe not on a regular weekly basis, but just like whenever there's like an opportunity to do a cool show, we'll do a cool show. So like, we'll surprise you. Surprise, you haven't heard from a few weeks, but here's a new Animal Talking. We're going to keep you on your toes with an irregular schedule going forward. And we've already got some ideas for great guests coming up. But that Halloween Spooktacular next Friday is going to be the first big one. Oh, I mean, yeah, I'll probably tell you, Adam, because I need you to actually help me make the show.
Okay, just make it sure, just because it's not like it's happened in the past that you haven't told me about a thing until the very last minute.
Sometimes I know. Sometimes I do tell you at the last minute. I have made quite a few mistakes with that in the past. Listen, this has been a very long preamble. I want to get to and we have a very busy show. We have some incredible guests on the show tonight, Adam. Damon Albarn and Jamie Hewlett, the co-creators of Gorillaz. Gorillaz are on the show tonight. Can you believe this? I mean, you're clapping, but you're not saying anything. Can you in fact believe? Maybe you can believe it. I don't know.
I thought my clapping was a good response.
Okay, all right. So you can believe it, but you're compelled to clap. I think that's good.
Yeah.
The incredible Shroud, one of the, if not the biggest, hottest, coolest streamer on Twitch, the incomparable Shroud of all people. My goodness, will be here on the show with us tonight, and I can't wait to sit down and speak with him later in the show. And then the Gorillaz themselves will be debuting a new track from their new album Song Machine, which actually drops today. It's out there today. They have an incredible song on it that Gorillaz featuring Beck will be performing on the show later. I can't wait for you to hear that. I'm just so in love with the song. I've been playing it constantly, and I look forward to you all hearing it. So that's all coming up on the show. But for right now, I'm gonna go this way, Adam. I remembered how to do this properly. Or have I? Maybe I haven't. Get out of my way! I've completely forgotten how to do the show. I don't remember how to do the show, Adam. I don't know what's going on. The other nice thing that's happened, by the way, you know how I used to get annoyed at him when people would say, "Oh, turn on camera mode," and I was like, "It doesn't work because it puts up all the."
You would get annoyed.
I would get very annoyed because it doesn't work because it puts this big overlay on the screen that's not helpful to me. Nintendo finally, in a recent update, took that out. So now I can use camera mode. And look at me spinning all the way around the Animal Talking set here in camera mode. It's really quite wonderful. And that allows us to be a bit more creative with how we use the cameras on the show going forward. So, Animal Talking's going places, Adam. We're making moves, we're evolving, the show's getting better all the time. Speaking of the show getting better, it's about to get much better because my first guest is about to come on. One of my favorite people, a good friend of mine, and part of the Animal Talking family and production team and crew. And I wanted to have her back she was a guest on the show all the way back in episode 3 before the show kind of blew up with all this celebrity nonsense. And I'm so glad to have her back on the show right now. Please welcome to the show my good friend, Kate Stark. She is. Hello, Kate.
I actually hit my cue. It's almost like I'm a stage manager on this program.
Honestly, as the stage manager of the show, if you failed to hit your own cue, that would have been embarrassing for everyone concerned.
Imagine. I would never live it down.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's always a treat to talk to you, and I'm very glad you're here.
Thank you for having me back. It looks different. You've changed.
How have I changed?
All the celebrity has gone to your head.
The celebrity has gone to my head. I know. I'm terrible. But here we are. We're still going. We're still somehow keeping it real. The show is what it is, and I make no apologies for it. Kate, you are, as I mentioned in your intro, you are one of the unsung heroes of Animal Talking. Because again, people who have watched the show from the very beginning may remember when you were a guest back in episode 3. But ever since then, you've actually been working very, very hard and very diligently to help make the show a success every week that we've been doing it. In fact, as our stage manager, tell me what it means to be the stage manager of Animal Talking, and what is the nature of the behind-the-scenes work that you do here on the show?
That's a great question. I do a lot of just like guest coordination. It's kind of like wrangling cats a lot of the time. And I remember messaging you about this as the show was kind of blowing up. And I was like, if you need any help, please let me know. I trained to be a stage manager. I used to do this professionally. I don't know how it would work in a digital setup, but I can try. And then the first episode you brought me on for was T-Pain. And that was like, you threw me in the deep end so hard that episode.
I was going to say, talk about a baptism by fire.
Yeah. And then by contrast, the Elijah Wood episode the next day was so chill. But it's a lot of, like I said, guest coordination, making sure guests backstage are kind of hitting their cues and getting on stage on time, which very rarely happens, but it's not my fault. And just answering questions and making sure that they're all happy and where they need to be when they need to be there.
So it's a multidisciplinary job, and you have to be a good organizer. You have to be very organized, but that's what you are. You're a very organized, efficient person. Like, I said to you before, like, I've never been to your house, but I imagine that it's very like Marie Kondo, everything like where it needs to be. You never lose. I just imagine you're this very like put together, organized person.
Yeah, I am. Very tidy. Like I think I just need things to be a certain way, or else my brain just doesn't function properly.
But that's the perfect mindset, skill set to have for a job like this, right?
Exactly.
How is being the formal training that you've had as an actual stage manager on a real stage? How much of that prepared you for doing this different kind of virtual stage management? Did a lot of that stuff carry over?
Yeah, because a lot of it is like doing stuff on the fly, and also just that's where the live aspect comes in, but also just keeping kind of a level head in potentially stressful situations. So I know that like before certain shows, people's internet has gone down, or we can't get them on the island, or everyone gets booted from the island. And this is no shade to you, but sometimes you get a little stressed out.
I do.
And then I kind of step in and I just say, stop, it's okay. And then I just kind of go into stage manager mode of like, here's what we're going to do. I make a physical list. I'm like, this person's going to come on the island. Let me know when you're done. Now this next person can come in, and just kind of like, I go into problem solving mode. But part of that is like in a live theater performance, that's exactly the same sort of thing that happens. Like your lighting cue gets goofed and you have to change stuff. You just have to work very quickly on the fly. And I think I kind of thrive on that. Yeah,
that's why I think you're so valuable as a member of the team, and why I value you so much is not just the kind of the professionalism and the logistics and all that stuff that the skill set that you bring, but also you just like this calming presence. You've been here at every show since episode 5, where you see how the sausage is made, and it's often not pretty. Like again,
no.
I get very stressed 5 minutes. Do you remember when? Do you remember when Nintendo decided to start doing server maintenance on Animal Crossing, like during the window that our show time? We found that out like 30 minutes before our live show, and we had to scramble. And I was just absolutely in full panic mode. But you, and to credit to Adam, he was the same. We're both like, you kept your cool heads and were like, calm down, we will fix it, and we did. But I honestly don't know if we would have if I hadn't had those calmer heads around me.
I'm also remembering when Justin Roiland's internet went down 5 minutes before he was supposed to be on the show.
We've seen it all, haven't we?
Yeah.
Hey, Kate.
Adam.
Do you think Gary's recording?
21 minutes and 2 seconds.
Let's
I see
go.
the little ticker going right now.
Let's go.
I have considered doing that as a fake out, but I wouldn't do it. That would just be too mean.
I was going to
my
say, I've
gosh.
been here since 8:30 this morning. It's now 11:30. Like, if we had to do this all again, I don't know what I would do.
It's all worth it to be a part of this wonderful thing that we've created, Animal Talking. It's so special.
It is.
Kate, what is it? So this is actually, I'm not just asking this to be a talk show host. I'm genuinely curious because I don't see it. I'm out front here. I'm in front of the stage. What is it like behind the scenes when the show is going live? And we have two separate Discord channels, a live show that we're in right now, and a green room where the guests hang out. So, and we have these discrete channels. What is it like in the kind of the virtual behind the scenes while the show is on air?
It's different every single time because every guest acts totally different. So there's been certain situations where all of us have got on webcam and we have just like talked to each other the entire time on webcam and kind of bullshit a bit, which has been fun. There's other times where the guest has just gone super quiet because I can hear them listening and watching the show because they think it's really cool and I hear them laughing at the jokes and stuff. There's been other times where I have just like had super deep conversations with these guests about their lives and they've shared stuff with me that I probably can't share with anybody else, but I'm like, wow, this is very, very cool. I've met so many interesting people through this show that definitely didn't expect to. I didn't think this is how I'd be spending my quarantine. I don't think anybody did, but it's definitely been a highlight for sure.
Yeah, likewise. It's like as I said at the top of the show, that's been the greatest gift for me, is just meeting all these fascinating people that we now are friends with and hang out with and do other things with. It's just been wonderful. Specifically, do you any like particular favorite like anecdotes or moments or guests that we've had on the show for the 20 episodes that you've been stage manager? Like what particularly comes to mind as like a favorite thing?
I mean, T-Pain just existing was pretty good.
It always comes back to T-Pain, doesn't it?
Yeah, T-Pain. Sting, I think, was probably like a definite highlight.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And I think for everybody involved, we have a staff channel in the Discord as well, like a text channel. And when Sting went and grabbed his guitar and started singing to us, all of us were frantically typing in the text channel going like, can you fucking believe this? Sting is singing
Kevin
to us
Smith,
right now?
who was here on the show with us, was freaking out, remember?
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like, that was probably like a highlight of my life, not just the show. Like Sting gave us a private acoustic concert.
Right here on the couch. I remember I could hear him strumming. And I was like, Sting, do you have a guitar there? This wasn't planned. I remember saying, like, do you have a guitar? He goes, yeah, do you want me to play something? I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Of course we do. Yes.
And he
I don't
ended
think
he ended up doing like 4 or 5 of his biggest hits. It was mental.
Yeah, and it was like, that's exactly that. The biggest hits that Sting has, we heard him sing.
Roxanne, Message in a Bottle.
Oh my God.
I can't even, Don't Stand So Close. And he did a special version of Don't Stand So Close to Me just for us that he recorded just for us. Absolutely insane.
Remember when I impressed Selena Gomez?
No, because that didn't happen.
I don't think that happened.
That didn't happen.
It did.
I remember cracking Selena Gomez up with my hilarious jokes. I don't remember you doing anything. I actually remember her cracking herself up. Selena Gomez is one of those delightful people that cracks herself. Like she laughs at her own jokes.
So sweet. She's so sweet.
She was great. I'd love it.
And it was very cool because I saw on the show she was talking about her new makeup range that was coming out, Rare Beauty.
Right. Yeah.
And then since that's happened, it's released and I've been able to see it online and all the positive feedback. So hearing her talk so passionately about how excited she was and then seeing the feedback of it has been so nice.
And would it have been that success were it not for her appearance on Animal Talking? That's the question I have to ask.
My God.
Up and coming celebrities like Selena, I'm happy to give them a leg up.
Give them their first break.
Yeah, exactly. Whenever possible. So, Kate, much like me, you know, this is not my full-time job. My full-time job is as a screenwriter and author, and this is just kind of like a fun hobby that spiraled out of control. And the same is true for you. You do a lot of work here on Animal Talking, but it's really just kind of a fun hobby for you as well. Your full-time job is you are a full-time professional streamer on Twitch.
I am, yeah. And I have been for about 5 years.
Twitch.tv/Kate, you can see it in the chyron there at the bottom of the screen, is where you would go. And as you say, you've been streaming now for about 5 years. But since you were on the show, I don't know if there's any correlation or that. I'm just saying coincidentally, since you were on the show on episode 3, your career as a streamer given that you're such a good friend of mine, it's really been so pleasing to me to see, because I love it when like good things happen to people that I like. And your career as a streamer has really just kind of like blown up. It's in this kind of like hockey stick curve of success where there's many more people coming to your channel. You're streaming to bigger audiences. You're taking part. You have every right to be very pleased with yourself. You're taking part in these big tournaments. And you and I have talked about this privately. You said like you've been working hard at this for a really long time, and it feels like it's all finally kind of coming together with this like big exponential success curve you've been enjoying for the past few months. What happened and why?
I don't know. But I'm very, I'll be honest, I don't know. I'm very, very appreciative of it because like I said, I have been working, and I'm not one to kind of toot my own horn, but I have been working really hard for 5 years to try to get, progress my career and stuff. And recently, I think with a combination of Fall Guys and the tournaments and the people that I've met through this show and through our other show, Talk Guys, and just playing with more people, there's just been a lot more kind of eyes on my stream, which has been really appreciated. And like I was a guest on Twitch Gaming the Weekly, and just kind of I've been putting myself out there more. A lot of times I'm not confident enough to accept invitations to things because I don't think I'm good enough for it. And I'll kind of talk myself out of it before I even get to the stage of doing it. But recently I've been trying to say yes to more things. So I think that's probably been part of it, but I'm not sure.
It's funny. I started to say yes to more things last year. I'm going to get out more. I'm going to go to more things. And I had a really, because you and I had a great time at TwitchCon last year.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Austin Film Festival. I went to Comic-Con. I was like, I'm going to start saying yes to more things. And then of course reality said, not so fast.
Right.
And the hammer came down, and now there's nothing for me to say yes to. So again, thank God for this show because we get to do this instead. So I always say that I've experienced a lot of failure in my life, and I always say that when that happens, take from it what you can learn. But the opposite is true too. Like you've had a lot of success. Like what have you learned from this success? Even though as you're trying to figure out what's been the cause of it, have you as the last 6 months of big success that you've had as a streamer on your channel, has it taught you anything? What have you learned?
Just kind of keep doing what I'm doing, really. I mean, I don't think anything has changed about my content apart from like the games that I'm playing, but I'm still the same person. I'm still promoting the same things of positivity and being kind to one another and stuff like that. I'm still cracking the same stupid jokes. So I think it's just like part of it has to do with saying yes to more things, and also just if opportunities come your way, try to do them. I don't know, like I've made a lot of friends recently as well who are in the streaming space, which is kind of a tough place to be because a lot of times you want to game with people, but you're not sure how to approach it because I want to play with them because they seem like a cool person, but I don't want them to think that I'm approaching them because I want to, for them to promote me or something like that. So it does get a bit nerve-wracking, but I've just been doing what I've always done and just hope for the best.
I think that's really all you can do. And so obviously you've not just been learning, from your success over the past 6 months, but also the whole 5 years of your career. I think I may have asked you this when you were first on the show way back when, but I'll ask you again now because again, the sum total of your knowledge is greater than it was then. To those out there, and especially, during, the times that we're living through right now, like many people, celebrities are at it. Everyone's at it though. You can't buy a webcam or a microphone anywhere right now because so many people want to get on Twitch and start streaming as a way to connect with people. So all those people out there right now who are starting their own Twitch channels and kind of wondering like what to do and what not to do, what advice would you give people who are just starting out on Twitch?
I mean, just honestly be your authentic self and do it because you have fun gaming and interacting and building a community, not because you want it to be your full-time job. I never intended this to be my full-time job, and here we are 5 years later, and it has been for a long time. But I always just play the games that I think are fun, and if people happen to tune in, then that's fantastic. Like, I didn't think people would be interested in me playing Crash, the new Crash 4, but turns out people who weren't even interested in the series were just like, I am appreciating your enthusiasm for this game. And I was like, well, that's fantastic. So even if it's not the hottest game, whatever it might be, if you're having a good time and you're being authentic as you're doing it, then that's kind of my key to long-term enjoyability and hopefully success.
Adam, you've only been at this for a hot minute, but what have you learned in the short time you've been streaming on your channel? Because the whole, like, the first 6 months or whatever of streaming on Twitch is just nothing but a learning process. So what have you learned?
From the beginning, I've learned mostly nothing, and I continue to learn nothing.
Yeah,
and
that's very on brand.
Good job, Adam.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Great answer. You're truly giving us everything right now.
Everything that Kate is saying, I've been doing the opposite, and it explains a lot.
It really does. You should be taking notes right now, Adam. Listen to like a proper streamer who knows what she's doing.
Kate has tried to tell me the proper ways to do things, and yet here I am sometimes. But she has actually given me great advice behind the scenes.
So, Kate, you and I were friends before Animal Talking. You know, I think we met playing PUBG together, right? And then
years ago,
years ago, I ran you over with a Jeep, and we've never looked back. And that's how we got involved with Animal Talking together, and that's made us even better friends, which I'm very grateful for. And so when Animal Talking went on hiatus, we decided to make this other show that we wanted to kind of keep the talk show energy going, but do it in a way that was like a little easier to produce. And we both were playing a lot of Fall Guys, which is a game we both love right now, Adam too. Mm-hmm. And so we came up with this thing called Talk Guys, where we interview people while playing Fall Guys. And I love this little intro that Adam made, so I'm actually just going to cue up this intro right now. Here is the intro to the show, the other show that we're still doing on a regular basis that Kate and I co-host. It's called Talk Guys. Hi, I'm Gary.
And I'm Kate.
And we like to play and we like to play Fall Guys.
We also like to chat with We also like to chat with We also like to chat with cool and interesting people.
So we thought, why not do balls? So we thought, why not do both at the same time? No. This is Talk Guys. Ultimate chatting. Kate, it's been really fun doing that show with you. I hope you've been enjoying doing that as much as I have.
I have. It's been so much fun. Because one, I really like the game, and
let's not mess around. You really like it.
Yeah,
you play that
I
game
think
a
it's.
lot.
Well, the thing is, I think it's so fun because it's bright, colorful, fast-paced. So if I just have like a little bit of time, between or like winding down at the end of a stream or something, I'm like, you know what? I just want to play a little bit longer. I'm gonna get a little bit more time in. I'll open up Fall Guys, and there's always somebody around who wants to play. Even if people on Twitch are saying like, "Oh, dead game." You know what? I don't give a crap. If you think it's a dead game, go watch something else.
I'm so sick of those dead game people.
Well, here's the thing. I don't care about that.
I
still play PUBG on occasion, and that game is like 4 years old. I just play games that I have fun playing.
And you're good at it as well. Like, you're really good at Fall Guys. Like, that's got to help your enjoyment of the game, right? You're actually really good at playing it.
I like to think I am. I'm not sure if I actually am, but I mean, maybe the tournaments might prove something wrong, might prove me wrong. But Fall Guys is like half skill, half pure luck and RNG. So I might be good some days and terrible other days, but
And
overall, I think I'm decent.
And Talk Guys has been this really weird gift as well, because again, we've gotten to play with some really fun people. We've gotten to play with, our good friend Felicia Day, with Mark. I know you're a bit of a Blink 182 fan. You got to play with Mark Hoppus. That must have been a thrill for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was cool. I mean, that's Blink 182 is a band that I know a lot of us listen to either growing up or still to this day. But I know that they were big for me in my teenage years, and so kind of chit chatting with them was. With Mark was really cool. And he's just a really genuinely nice person.
Yeah, just a super nice guy.
Yeah, and like it felt like, a couple friends playing video games, which I think is the best part of Talk Guys is I've always compared it to Hot Ones but with video games.
Yes.
And so which I think is the best descriptor for it. So it's fun because you've got people doing their very best to answer a question, and then, a giant ball from the sky will hit them in the face and completely ruin their train of thought, but
I
it's
mean,
perfect.
that's pretty much the whole concept of the show for sure. And two now, and I hope to do more. Two of them, my favorite episodes that we've done, where we actually got to play with some of the designers and makers of the game. That's been really fun and really educational as well, to kind of pick their brains about what went into the design and the making of the game as we're playing it with them.
Oh, 100%. And actually, it's been wonderful because I see a lot of the things that we've brought up with them or kind of had concerns about have recently been fixed in the game too. So it's really nice to know that they're listening. And obviously the reason they come on the show is not to get yelled at by us. But it shows how much they care about it, that they actually want to be involved with the show, and they seem to have a really good time on it. So Fall Guys devs, if you want to come on the show and chat to us, we'd be happy to have
We
you.
are working on getting some more of the Fall Guys devs because I really enjoyed playing with them. And Kate, to continue the Fall Guys strand of this, again, it's just been so interesting to me to watch not just your career explode, but this particular kind of Fall Guys centric part of it, not just the Talk Guys show, but you have really been coming on strong, like in the Fall Guys competitive scene. You've competed in Twitch Rivals, you've competed in 2 Fall Mania tournaments, including Fall Mania All Stars, which was reserved only for like the elite creme de la creme of players. And you even wound up coming away. It seems like you ended up winning your performance in that first Fall Mania, where I also competed and kind of scrubbed out early as a semi-finalist. I saw you go on to compete in the finals and eventually come in second place. It seems like you won the respect and admiration of a lot of esports pros, speedrunners out there. They even gave you your own nickname, which seems to have stuck.
Yeah, it's Kate E Clutch, and I think the E stands for esports. So Katie Clutch is kind of the nickname, and it's been fun because I've done Fall Mania twice, I've done Twitch Rivals, Fall Guys twice, and then actually won my first ever tournament. I won was the Crown Fiesta tournament, and I'm very excited about that one.
That's amazing. And so, and the clutch part of it seems, because I was in that tournament with you. I made it to the semifinals, which for a mediocre player like me, I took that as a win. I just wanted to
you did great.
I wanted to not wash out in the first round, basically. I just wanted to not embarrass myself, and I ended up doing better than the defending champion, who scrubbed out earlier than me. And there's a couple of other statistics that I like to brag about that I can't remember. But yeah, semi-finalist in a pro tournament for someone like me who is anything but a pro gamer. I'll happily take that. But I stuck around and watched you. I spectated you continuing to compete in the tournament, and I remember you were dead in the semifinals. Like there was no coming back for you, and you somehow came back. You made it to the finals, and then you were dead in the finals, and you came back and made it all the way to second place. And I think that's where this Clutch nickname came, because you pulled out some clutch plays to pull that off.
Yeah, I managed, but I did come from last place to second in the entire tournament. And I have a bone to pick with tail tag, because if I had won one round of tail tag, I would have won the tournament. But the kudos that I lost from getting eliminated in a single tail tag lost me $5,000.
I love that game, and as you know, Kate, I have my own personal love-hate relationships with many of the levels in that game, and I love the developers, and I really think it's me personally. I think it is for you also, unless your opinion's changed since we last spoke. It's my personal pick for Game of the Year. I love that game, but tail tag, honestly, if they just got rid of it, I don't think anyone would shed a tear. It's the only one that I would genuinely like to see gone.
And I'd be $5,000 richer, so it would be a win-win for everybody.
So we have of course the wonderful Shroud coming on the show later. Someone that you know, Kate, because you hobnob in this. I don't move in the elite circles that you do in the Twitch realm, but you hobnob with Dr. Lupo and Shroud and some of these top level players. I'm really excited to meet him for the first time and talk to him later on the show tonight. But he has an interesting story, and obviously he was an esports pro, right? He was a Counter-Strike Go. CSGO
when he
player.
was young, too.
When he was young. And I actually remember when he made his big announcement that he was kind of throwing in the towel on his esports career. I feel like he basically done everything he could in the esports realm and started streaming on Twitch, and obviously went on to become phenomenally successful on Twitch. I wonder if, Kate, you might be going the other way around. You've had this successful career as a streamer, but now you're kicking ass in these competitive tournaments. All the esports people love you. You've got your own nickname. I'm wondering if, I mean, is there could there be like more competitive esports in your future?
I don't think so. Definitely not professionally. Like, I will say yes to Twitch Rivals or, you know, a little tournament if I'm invited, but I'm not gonna focus my career on going pro in any sort of game, especially because I don't think there's an actual pro Fall Guys scene. I think technically I am a professional Fall Guys player, but I mean, that's not the only game I stream. And I don't think I could stick to it forever as well. So on my stream, I'm a variety broadcaster. So I play whatever I feel like at the time. And that changes on a daily basis. Like, I just started playing Paper Mario Origami King, and we were playing Among Us the other day and playing Crash 4 and all this kind of stuff. So even though Fall Guys has kind of been the focus of what's been going on career-wise recently, I hate to say it, but I think it's just a phase. And, you know, it'll always be around, and I'm excited to check out future seasons, but I don't think it's ever going to be like my main staple game.
You don't like to play Among Us, do you? You're one of these people who you're just not a good liar. So when you are the imposter, you're quite. Shannon's the same. You're quite uncomfortable in the role of the imposter. I
don't like playing imposter at all. And when we played the other night with the guild and Felicia, Felicia and I, there was a bugged lobby. Felicia and I were the imposters like 75% of the time. And all I wanted to do was just do my tasks and hang out and get in on the debate. But I just did not want to kill people. I don't like when people accuse me of things. I hate confrontation anytime. And I kept murdering people and just get caught red-handed.
Yeah, and you would just
so I'd be
admit
like,
to it.
yeah, and I'd be like, yeah, it's me. Just please vote me out. Let me go be a ghost and just hang out with people. Let me sabotage. That's fine. But like, if I can't combat that at all.
I'm the exact opposite of you. I love being the imposter, and I'm really good at lying my way out of trouble when I get caught red-handed.
I caught you red-handed,
You did.
and I screamed it was you, and you still managed to convince people to vote for me.
Yes, but that's where your inherent honesty eventually, because I still got ejected. People
did.
were like, well, Kate doesn't. Like, if it's between Gary and Kate, come on, we all know it's Kate who's telling the truth. So your inherent honesty and my inherent deceitfulness really ended up paying dividends for you in that. I really gave it. It's like, oh my God, she's got me red-handed. My only hope is to get out in front of this and try to turn it around on you very quickly and like just fling some mud in the hopes of just like muddying the picture. Like, your desperate imposters will do anything, like a cornered animal. And that's very much what I was. But yeah, you won the day, and rightly so. I was very glad to see you win that out.
But you know, I'm actually totally fine with, because everyone who I've played with has been like, you're terrible at lying. And I'm so sensitive to criticism that honestly, normally I would be like, oh my God, like I'm going to overthink this forever. If people tell me I'm terrible at lying, what a great quality to be terrible at.
It's a compliment. You should take it as a compliment.
It's an absolute compliment. Like, I love my friends way too much to even lie to them in a video game. Like, I know that's the point of the game and I still can't do it.
Not Gary.
I embrace it. I embrace the deception. I embrace the betrayal. I embrace
it's
the
a
dark
fun
side.
game though. That's the thing, is I still really enjoy playing it. And if I get invited to like a really fun group who's doing it for casual, not like super sweaty, then I'll totally still do it.
You're playing a game right and playing it well if you're having fun doing it. And I often think the tryhards ultimately have less fun because because their ability to enjoy the game is directly tied to how successful they are at it. And I just feel like unless you are also really, really good at the game, you're just not going to have a good time. And that's true of any game.
Yeah, and I think Lupo is fantastic at that game.
He's very good.
Which is probably why they were just used to seeing like a really high level player, and then going into, I'll lovingly call us the scrub like lobby, was probably a bit jarring for them.
It was like watching him even play. Like, not only does he have good meta, like good strategy, but like just watching him play the mini games are like these Fisher Price basic mini games. But he's blasting through them like Data swapping out isolinear chips on Star Trek: The Next Generation, like going like 1,000,000 miles a second. Like, it's like even in a game as basic as that, like his kind of Twitch gaming skills come into play, and it made me feel quite. I'm never going to be Dr. Lupo. I'm never going to be as nice
very
as
talented.
him. I'm never going to be as good at games as him. I'm just never. I've recently made peace with this. That I'm just never going to. I was sitting up in bed about 3 o'clock in the morning a couple of nights ago, and I just said to myself, Gary, you're never going to be Dr. Lupo. Just give up. So, Kate, we've talked about all this wonderful stuff you do on your channel. You're a Fall Guys semi-pro these days. I understand you've brought a clip, so let's roll a clip and get a little taste of what you can see if you ever head over to Kate's Twitch channel. Let's roll it.
We still have Sly Foxhound and Kate all by herself. Sly Foxhound gonna ruin her move right now.
Yo.
And she's got nothing but room right now.
Kate, I mean, I'm just saying.
Is she about to win this?
Clutch Kate. She has hexagons for days. I don't know. Sly Foxhound's gonna have to make a big move. He does.
Kate!
Sly Foxhound gets in there. Kate drags him. Wow.
Oh! Clutch
I'm
Kate!
so glad I
Clutch
cut him off.
Kate, baby!
Man, Kate, I always spend a lot of time on your channel. Anytime I'm kind of browsing Twitch channels, when I do, I often roll up on your channel. I like to say hello, not just because you're a friend, but because like you do really have good content over there and a really, really wonderful community called the Chat Loaf.
Yeah, the chat loaf.
I love the Chat Loaf.
very
We've got the
sweet.
Only Shans, we've got the Ding Dongs, we've got the Legion of Gary over here, as you know, the LOG. I can't help myself. I've got to do it. I'm going to play my LOG sound. When you subscribe to my channel, twitch.tv/Gary Whitta,
Oh my God.
this is what you hear. This is what you hear.
Welcome to the LOG.
That is professional voice actor Adam Harrington, who you'll know from many Telltale games and other video games. And of course, drums by my good personal friend Phil Collins, who still owes me money, by the way.
Oh my God.
Which is why he was happy to donate that drum fill to me, because he still won't give me back or even acknowledge the £20 that I lent him when he was on his uppers back in 1982. I managed to get him to play those drums for me and said, "Thanks, Phil." He's like, "We're good now, right?" I mean, yeah, finally, yes, okay, we're good. We'll get him on the show at one point and we'll talk about it. Kate, so we've got it up on the screen, but just to make sure everyone knows, where can people find you? Twitch.tv/Kate. You're also at Twitter at Kate Stark. Still not verified, by the way. If you are someone who works at Twitter and you're watching this, sort yourselves out. What's going on? Verify Kate Stark. Hashtag verify Kate. Let's get it trending. Why you don't have a verified account, I don't know, but we've got to get that
Sort
fixed.
yourself out.
Have a word with yourself. And you're on Instagram as well, right? Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah.
So tell us where we can find the Instagram and the YouTube.
Instagram is Kate Stark TV, and then YouTube. I'm trying to build up YouTube. It's really tough, but it's youtube.com/Kate Stark, and I upload at least one video a week. I have a really great editor, and he does highlight videos and recaps of content from the previous week, and they're really funny and really well done. So if you want to get additional content, you can subscribe for free.
Kate, you are, as always, you've been a delightful guest, and you have been and continue to be a delightful friend. I'm very, very glad to call you my friend. I'm so glad the world of the internet has brought us together.
Me too.
And I understand that we mentioned earlier, you're a bit of a fan of Mark Hoppus and Blink-182. I understand there's a little outfit out there called Gorillaz that you are also a fan of.
I am, yeah. I'm trying to remember the first album I heard. It would have been probably the album Gorillaz.
Don't go anywhere, because we have the co-creators of Gorillaz, Damon, Albarn, and Jamie Hewlett, are going to be joining us right after this break. Don't go away. Yay, we're back. We're back for a break. Thank you for sticking around through the break, coming back to Animal Talking. Kate Stark, thank you so much for being a wonderful first guest. You're going to stick around for the rest of the show, right?
Absolutely.
I love it. Well, you're going to be very glad that you stuck around, because our next guest, my goodness, we've had some incredible musical talent on this show since we started this thing way back in April. We've had Selena Gomez on the show, as you know, performing, Sting playing songs for us with his guitar, Lisa Loeb, T-Pain, all kinds of amazing guests. But I personally think these are the coolest musical guests we've had on the show, maybe ever. Please welcome, I can't believe I'm saying this, please welcome to Animal Talking, the co-creators of Gorillaz, Damon Albarn and Jamie Hewlett. Let's get them down these stairs. There they are. Oh my goodness. There's Damon. There's Jamie right behind him. Guys, have a seat on the couch. It's lovely to have you here. What a treat. What a treat. There's Damon. There's Jamie. Is Jamie gonna navigate this couch?
No,
it's a very tricky couch.
I don't know how to do this. I've never got on a couch
There, he's
before.
done it. Oh my goodness, he's done it. He has done it, ladies and gentlemen. He's successfully sat on a couch. Wonderful,
Can I put
wonderful.
my arm round? Damon, please.
We try to social distance as much as possible.
Can I sit at an angle, please?
What did you say?
Can I do a headstand, please?
A headstand. I don't think. Maybe on the next Animal Crossing update, we'll have you back. I'll put a request in for you.
Down dog. Down dog.
Downward dog. Are we doing yoga on the show? I don't know. I honestly have no idea what's
Warrior
going on.
2.
Are you a yoga person, Damon? Is that part of your life, your routine?
Certainly is, yeah.
Are you happy to have yoga in your life? Is that something that you feel benefits you?
Very happy to have yoga in my life.
How long have you been doing yoga?
Not as long as Sting.
Well, I mean, most people haven't been doing things as long as Sting.
Once back in the good old 1990s, there was an award ceremony, and I was sitting down, and then this person put their hands on my shoulders and kind of whispered in my ear, "Hi, Damon, it's Sting. Do you know, you really remind me of myself when I was younger."
That really happened?
That really happened, and I was kind of slightly shocked by it at the time. You know what I mean? It was just, but I suppose, I followed him in yoga, and I followed him on to Animal Talking.
Absolutely.
Maybe I am. He's my guru.
You're following in his artistic footsteps in so many ways. Damon and Jamie, thank you so much for coming on the show. It really is a genuine treat to have you here. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, I mean, I've never done this before, so
You said earlier when you first saw your character on screen.
We think that Jamie looks like Charles I or II.
Yes. And what do you think you look like?
I look like Elton John.
You look like a young Elton John.
Well, no, I think that I would recognise that as Elton John now.
I think you look like Joe 90.
Oh, okay. That's a good one. I like that reference with the glasses. Well, so I will say again, we have the Animal Crossing character creator is very, very limited. We do our best. We try to get as close and as flattering a portrayal in the Animal Crossing world as possible. I do hope you're both happy with your virtual avatars that we built for you here.
Over the moon.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. I know we're going to get along here because we all have something in common. You, Damon and Jamie, of course, created a virtual rock band with Gorillaz, and I created a virtual talk show. So, we share a little bit of creative DNA. I think you've been marginally more successful with Gorillaz than I have been with Animal Talking, but nevertheless, there's some creative DNA being shared here, I think.
They're different things, really, aren't they? You know what I mean? But what connects them is that all of us are kind of sucked in by the current of the digital world. We all are finding ways to express ourselves within that now.
Damon, you mentioned that when you first saw your character on screen that it brought you back to playing Nintendo Wii games with your daughter.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Because these characters are kind of like the old Nintendo Mii's, not terribly different, kind of big, cute, bobble-headed characters. They're adorable.
Yeah, I mean, that was an amazing thing for a while, wasn't it? The fact that you could sort of do things and not physical things while watching the TV, and they were connected to the TV.
And the beauty, of course, of this virtual format, and it's why this talk show has been successful during COVID, I think, to some extent, is that we're able to bring people together in this virtual space. In reality, right now, Damon, you are calling in from London. Jamie, you're in Paris, and yet here you are both on the same virtual couch. It's a little bit magical.
Yeah, we can't stop moving for some reason.
Yeah, I know, and I think we're a bit more expressive than that, to be perfectly honest with you. I think we laugh a lot.
We look like we're cycling tiny bicycles.
Yeah, so you'll notice that the characters have these little idle animations. Nintendo won't ever let you sit still. You got like Savita's Dance or something, kind of just constantly fidgeting. You're both very fidgety on the couch, but you'll notice we're all doing it, bobbing our heads. We can't help ourselves.
Yeah, Savita's Dance. That's right.
I will send this along to Nintendo after the fact, and maybe they'll finally start making these little characters a bit more expressive.
It's the movement that the Lucky Cats.
Of the Lucky Cats?
Yes, the Lucky Cat dolls with the arm.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
When the sun shines on them.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
What we are. That's exactly what we are.
I'm so excited to have you on the show. Not only Damon and Jamie here, but Gorillaz will actually be performing later in the show a brand new song from the new Gorillaz album, Song Machine, The Valley of the Pagans, featuring Beck. You're going to see 2D and Beck on the stage. right after this. So that's super duper exciting. That's what Gorillaz are doing right now. We're going to talk a lot about the album, but I want to take people back to the beginning. For the 4 people who may be watching right now who have never heard of Gorillaz, Gorillaz is a unique thing in that Damon and Jamie, you created it, but you're not actually the gorilla. The gorillas are 2D and Murdoch and Noodle and Russell, these virtual cartoon characters that you've created. Just talk me through the. And again, I'm sure you've answered this a million times before, but again, for the benefit of people,
2,700 times actually.
2,701.
701 times.
Talk me through the basics of the hows and whys of creating a virtual rock band as you did with Gorillaz.
I don't know whether I call them a rock band.
A band.
They're not even a band in that sense. They're like, I mean, they're an entity. You know what I mean? They don't belong to anything really previous to them.
Wow, this is getting very philosophical.
No, but they're their own thing. That's how I feel about them. We started it, and it was such a strange kind of idea. Okay, I'll go and make a tune, and you go and draw a picture, and that will be the band. No, that was the word band's not really accurate, is it? You know what I mean? It's something else. It's a duo. Let's call it a duo.
Okay.
Duo.
Yeah.
Part of the appeal, I think, in creating. So what's interesting about this?
Like the Pet Shop Boys or Soft Cell or something like that. You know.
Got it. But what's interesting to me is that in creating these virtual characters.
You've got to make my character laugh. I'm not going to do this any longer unless
There we go. Look, immediate. My avatar puppeteers are on the case. We've immediately made you laugh. And again, please do continue to call out if there's any ways that you would like my puppeteers to make your characters feel, we can make that happen in real time. That's the magic of the show.
Exactly. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. Because I'm watching this. It's very weird watching yourself on a show.
Trust me, I've been doing it for almost a year now, and it's still very weird, even for me. Yeah. We had Brie Larson on the show, and she could barely get through the interview because she was just cracking up at the lunacy of the concept the whole time. So you're actually doing very well on the Brie Larson scale. Don't worry about it.
Can you do the emotion of being scared?
The annoying thing is they actually brought one out for Halloween, but it's not. They're not. Oh, but that's kind of what that kind of looks like. I don't know what that is. What is?
That looks constipated.
There you go. We got you. You're either very chilly or very scared. Let's do that one. Damon, you have no reason to be scared. You're among friends. You're in good hands. You're among friends. It's a safe space.
I'm just scared of what
the cold wind.
What's going on at the moment. I'm scared. Like the yucca plants in there, they're scared of it as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, and the plants are here they're supposed to put you at ease. They're supposed to calm you. So if you do start to feel scared, just can't focus on the plants.
I always feel for yucca plants in airports. Feel like people they don't get enough love. No, they're like these magnificent things, and people are just too worried about catching their flights, or shall I say, they used to be. That's finished.
Yeah,
now,
I mean that's in the olden days. No one does that anymore.
It's in the olden days.
Underappreciated plants.
Yeah, they really are. They do yeoman's work, and they don't get enough appreciation.
Mm-hmm. They thrive on neglect, though.
You can imagine.
That's true. Much like me, I also thrive on neglect. I mean, I've got no choice, so I've just leaned into it. David, what I find interesting about creating these virtual characters, the Gorillaz, is you have stepped back and kind of let them take center stage of the stars of the show. Part of the appeal for this show for me is I get to be on stage, but it's not really me. It's my virtual self. I get to kind of hide behind this virtual character I've created. I'm just wondering if that was part of the appeal for you too. Obviously, you were already super duper famous from your prior work, but I don't know if you were thinking like, I like continuing to create music and I want to create something new, but I wouldn't mind being a bit less famous, and so I'm happy to give up the limelight to these characters instead. Was that part of the equation at all?
No. I think we just wanted to do something that had some mystery to it.
Yeah, and you've certainly created that. Jamie, I do want to ask you.
Yes.
You and I actually have something else in common.
We haven't been as successful at it as Banksy has.
No.
He's done much more than us.
Well, and he's much more anonymous than you are.
Yeah. No, but I mean, we started out our first ever interview. We all pretended to be the characters.
Right.
I couldn't do it after a while, and Jamie got really pissed off at me because I ruined it in the first kind of attempts to stay anonymous.
Would you have preferred if you had succeeded in doing that, be like a musical Banksy, and like no one even ever knew that it was you?
Well, I think that was the idea at the beginning, wasn't it, Jamie? Really, that was the idea.
Yeah, but that was never going to work, was it?
No, it was never going to work.
Because of your voice. We actually auditioned a couple of singers who came in the studio.
Yeah.
And tried to sing Damon's lyrics. Yeah, do you remember?
I'd love to hear those recordings, though. I wonder where they
It was, yeah. And he got a bit carried away, the singer, and was quite terrible, I seem to remember. And you said, I'm going to sing.
I'd like to hear them. I'd love to hear what they actually sounded
So was it?
like.
So originally it was the plan for someone else to be the voice of 2D, and you didn't want to do it.
For like 20 minutes, we thought it might be the right thing to do, but it just didn't work.
Why didn't it work, Dave?
Basically, the principle of the complete Avatar experience was like that was Gorillaz' idea. I think that's the nature of being kind of wedded and created in a way by the digital world, is that you're imagining all these things that you want to do, but you're just waiting for the technology to enable you to do it.
Basically, yes.
So at some point, someone's going to do this much better than you. You know what I mean?
Oh, probably in about 5 minutes from now, to be honest. I'm amazed it hasn't happened already.
What I mean, I think sometimes, that's forgotten about the whole kind of sort of process of technology, is that you can only manifest it in the way that it is. You can be only manifest in its current sort of state. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the idea is something else, and the idea is more important, really.
No, and I think that's true, and I think you're absolutely right about, like, in terms of the aspiration of the technology, the reach always kind of slightly exceeds your grasp, and that's how it should be, right? Because that's what makes you make the technology better.
But then it gets down to who's got, someone who's got more resources can get into something quicker than you can. I'm afraid it's in the hands of those that own the technology.
Absolutely. And to your point of someone coming along and doing it better than me, I mean, I'm honestly, like I said, that's not a very high bar. It took us the better part of 20 minutes to get you down the stairs and on the couch. So, it's there's what we're doing. We are still kind of banging rocks together here in the virtual talk show space.
I didn't laugh then. You made me laugh, and it wasn't.
There we go. Jamie, you and I do have something else in common, other than hiding behind virtual characters here. I don't know if you remember this. I'm going to tell you a little bit of my own personal history. I started off before I was a screenwriter and a talk show host. I started off as a young video games journalist, straight out of school at 15 years old. I was reviewing old Commodore 64 and Amiga games for a magazine called Commodore User, which you might also remember.
Yeah, my first job.
And I've actually I'm going to throw this up on the screen here so you can look at the very first magazine that my name appeared in, June 1988, Commodore User. And here is the Jamie Hewlett cover of that very issue. The Great Gianna Sisters, one of the most fondly remembered games of that era, I'm sure. And this is the Jamie Hewlett rendition of that.
Oh my God!
Jamie? Was that really your first job?
Got quite a high forehead.
Yes, two very high foreheads.
Yeah, but one's
that was my first job. I used to get paid £50 a month.
And that's more than I was getting paid to review those games.
So when is that? When was that?
That was 1988.
Wow.
So you were the official cover artist there for quite a while, Jamie. Like the whole time that I was there, I remember it was all Jamie Hewlett covers.
Really? I don't remember doing that many, but yeah, a long time ago, 1988.
Yeah, and then you went off and co-created.
if you say so. I don't remember.
I mean,
that was my first job out of art school.
And then, of course, you went off and co-created Tank Girl.
I created Tank Girl.
That's incredible.
There was no co-creation.
Well, why on your Wikipedia, which of course never gets anything wrong, does it say you co-created it?
I created it, and then I got someone else involved later to write it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because I was writing it, but I couldn't really write very well back then, 1988.
But you are the sole creator of Tank Girl.
I created it, and then I got someone else in to write the stories, and then he became my sort of creative partner.
I love it.
Fascinating stuff, eh?
I do want to get into talking about the new album Song Machine. But first, I just want to bring Kate into the conversation. Kate, I know you were excited to be here with Damon and Jamie because you are a Gorillaz fan. What is your personal Gorillaz fandom story? Tell me about your love of Gorillaz.
Gorillaz was actually my first ever big stadium concert for the Plastic Beach tour.
Oh wow!
And that was my first I've been to smaller shows, obviously, but Plastic Beach was my first big stadium in Vancouver.
That period, the best bit of that was the opening.
Oh my God, it was fantastic.
With Snoop Dogg and the
wow.
and the big letters, the G. Oh, that was fantastic. I really loved it. That was so much fun.
The brass, like having the orchestra and stuff there, was so fantastic.
It was beautiful. What a lovely band that was.
Yeah,
amazing.
So hey, thanks for my first ever big concert experience.
Pleasure.
So let's get into Song Machine. I think that's mostly the reason that you're here. This is all tied in quite nicely. This episode is of Animal Talking is coming out on a Friday, which also happens to be the same day that Song Machine is launching. And this is kind of the end result of almost a year-long process.
No. It started. To be fair, it started in January, and we've been releasing episodes every month or so up until now. We've still got a few more episodes to release, but there was a point where we'd done so many tunes that we wanted to see if we could make an album of what we thought were the most effective tunes together, and that's what we did. We put we turned the season into 11 episodes. And then there's some extra tracks after that, but they're not the album is the one that we put together that's called Strange Times. That's 11 tracks, and that's all the episodes of season 1, but in a different order, which makes them, somehow kind of tell a story.
Got it. So as I understand it, 7 of those have already been released.
There's only 11 of them on the album. I think everything just got released all at the same time, and so I think a few people think that the album and the extra tracks are the same thing, and they're not. They're extra tracks, which is great, but they're not the album. You know what I mean? Matters anymore. But if you're going to call it an album, you might as well adhere to the sense of what an album should be, and the 11 tracks are what makes it an album.
Understood. And I understand there's 17 of them on the deluxe version.
Yeah, and then season 2 will start. Well, last time I spoke to Jamie, he said that he needed a month off. So when he's had his month off, we'll start season 2.
So let's
his month off. Okay,
you said a month off. But has it changed since last time we spoke?
No, I said I'd start in January. So it depends when I finish.
So let's talk about Song Machine.
I think.
Are you sure you don't want to nail down the details of how many months off Jamie's getting?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about that for at least another 20 minutes, please.
Please keep that Charles the First look. It's really working for you.
I do like it. So yes, you have, as you rightly point out, you've been releasing new episodes since roughly the start of the year. 7 of them are already out on the official Gorillaz YouTube channel, which of course is staggeringly easy to find. You just type Gorillaz into your YouTube search bar. But for people for whom that might be too much of a challenge, I'll drop the link into the description of this video so you can go click on it easily. And I've been watching some of these episodes, and they're really fascinating. Some of them are fully animated in that quintessential Jamie Hewlett style, and others are kind of a hybrid. I thought it was really interesting. You put cameras up on the walls for some of the recording sessions on these episodes, and then integrated the animated Gorillaz characters into the live action footage. Jamie, is this the first time that the live action and the Gorillaz characters have been brought together in this way? Is that a new thing?
We did it on Demon Days, I think, with De La Soul. We did it with Bruce Willis and Stylo, Dirty Harry. We've done it lots of times, actually.
So you've been coexisting alongside these virtual characters for a while now.
Well, it really depends on how much money you've got for a video, you know?
Yeah.
If you don't have a lot of money, then you shoot live action and you drop the characters in because it's cheaper.
And that's kind of
got lots of money.
That's what our live streams are going to be like in December when we play the album in its entirety and then some extra stuff afterwards.
Oh yes, we're going to get into that. Tell me though.
That's the world we're going to be in. We're going to be in a live and cartoon and.
Why don't we have Nintendo versions of the Gorillaz here?
You will. They're actually going to be coming up next.
Oh, are they? Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Of course. Yeah, I knew that.
It'd be really nice if they could walk on set.
We can't actually do that right now because again, this whole operation is held together with shoestring and duct tape. And if only I could. But what's going to happen if you really want to peek behind the scenes? What's going to happen is after you to are done, we're going to take your characters and turn them into 2D and Beck, and they're going to perform.
Right.
Ah.
Okay.
And now
Okay, but we're not gonna see that, are
everyone
we?
knows how the magic, if you can even call it that. I think it barely.
We're not going to see that today, are we?
You're
it's
not
not
gonna
going to
see
happen before our
You're
eyes.
not. I mean, if you want to stick around, you can. But I don't know. I imagine you've got better things to do.
I've got to wash my hair.
Yes, indeed. I mean, Jamie has got some very luxurious hair to wash now. Look at that. It's regal. It's downright regal.
It's funny. It's funny how much that actually really looks like me.
My wife does a very good job. She's
Yeah,
she's the character designer.
fantastic, actually.
So, okay, what I find interesting as well about Song Machine is these aren't just individual episodes or tracks. There is like an actual kind of unifying narrative, an overall story that unfolds over the course of Song Machine, right?
Well, it's kind of it's up until like July of this year, really. It's steeped in everything that kind of happened and might happen afterwards. You know, it's a sort of a record made in a confined summer where, I don't know, there were moments where there were beautiful uninterrupted skies, and then there was a lot of times when, you know, people couldn't really orienteer where they were anymore and what was actually happening. So I feel like that's what it reflects in a way. And there's that mood in the animation as well. I mean, it's been a really good year for us in the sense of being able to really, you know, concentrate on something and meditate on it.
And you've got this really eclectic mix of collaborators on Song Machine as well. You've got Elton John, you've got Robert E. Smith, you've got Beck, and all kinds of like cool young, you know, hip hop artists. Jamie, you got to animate Elton? You got to turn Elton John into a Gorillaz style character?
Yes, I
in his
did.
videos. That can't be that surely. I mean, Elton John in his career, that surely can't be the first time he's been turned into a cartoon. But he's never been done quite like this. The Jamie Hewlett version of Elton John is just delightful to look at.
Thank you. Well, Elton didn't.
Jamie's got the best line of everyone, really. I mean, you know what I mean? That's what makes Gorillaz so interesting, really, is that visual signature.
Now, to get you both on the show, of course, we sent you your avatars ahead of time so that you could approve them. In fact, Jamie, I do want to point out, for all the jokes about Jamie's hair, he specifically requested that hair and approved it. So this is all on him.
I did request that I was wearing a little dress, but you didn't give me one.
We can get you one real quick. You want to be in a dress?
Yes.
Yeah.
Leah, sorry.
Well, I look like a pretty lady, so you know, I might as well have a little dress.
Can we get him in a dress? How quickly can we get Jamie in a dress? I'll do it for you live on the show if it's at all possible.
Would you like us to go to Able Sisters and do a little switch?
Absolutely. So what you're hearing right now is the voice of my wife, who is responsible for the virtual Jamie and Damien. Yes, please take Jamie to the clothing store here on the island, pick out a delightful dress for him, and bring him back. I think that's a wonderful idea. And the nice thing is, I can continue to talk to Jamie as though he's got like a walkie-talkie,
okay.
even as he goes to the shops. How does that sound? Off he goes.
Great. Bye.
Off he goes.
Thank you.
Right.
Bye.
Damon, you stay there. Where are you going?
You can stay.
I need somebody to interview. My goodness. Let's get him back on the couch. Oh, now Damon's having couch problems. There we go. We got him.
Hey.
Yay.
Damon,
Go ahead.
do you mind
No,
if I
go
ask
ahead,
a
Kate,
question?
please. Go ahead.
Damon, I know that you were just mentioning about kind of the long stretch of this year being, you know, pandemic and doing writing and stuff like that. I know you've also written albums while you've been on tour for other albums. Like I believe the Now Now was written while you were on tour.
Yeah, the Fall, the Now. Yeah, I mean, it's just when you do it a lot, there's a lot of free time, and I'm happiest just making more music really than, you know, sitting about just watching TV or playing games or something. I like playing table tennis though, but there's a lot of hours when you're on tour where it's can be quite empty. So I just like, you know, and also it gives them a different quality than albums that you can make in one place.
So yeah, how does it feel to be doing, you know, like I'm not sure, I'm not a songwriter, I'm not a musician at all, but how does it feel to be doing songwriting from one place, like you just said, as opposed to you know, you're out on the road and still doing stuff every single night and still doing these big stadium shows, like, do you find that the type of music you're writing is different?
That's the beautiful thing about music. You know, if you live with it closely, it can reflect every environment that you're in. You know, and that's kind of, I don't know, someone who does it all the time. It's like that's sort of partly how you perceive reality.
Mm.
Wait, where's Adam gone? Why did he go off to the shops with Jamie? He's supposed to be doing a show. All right, I'll have a word with him when he gets back.
Yeah, what is he actually doing?
I ask myself that every day, Damon. Every time we do this show, I ask myself, what is Adam actually doing?
How much do you pay him?
Well, nothing, to be fair, and I still feel like I'm getting ripped off. Damon, I want to ask you. We were just talking about these incredible collaborators.
Why do you keep making me laugh when I'm not laughing?
We're doing our best over here, Damon. We're doing our best you'll make
everything you say, I laugh at.
Well, because I'm the host of the show. I'm the boss. They have to laugh at my jokes.
It's like, come on. When it's funny, I laugh.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right. By the end of this interview, Damon, I promise I will try to make something.
Oh, Jamie.
There you go. If that's not worth a laugh, I don't know what is.
Finally,
you got a beret in your hair.
I know. Yeah.
Damon, let me just say the full power of the Animal Talking wardrobe department is also available to you. If you would like to be in a dress, we can make that happen very quickly.
No, I don't want to dress. What else could I get dressed in?
Keep in mind that wardrobe is on my island.
Can I be a witch? Can I be a witch? I want to be a witch. Please, let me be.
Can we turn Damon into a witch, please?
Not unless you happen to have a witch costume in your wardrobe.
I think I have a witch hat.
Because the wardrobe department is not on this island.
Oh, you've come on the wrong day, Damon. Unfortunately.
Okay. Well, you gave me the offer, and then you said you had it, and now you can't do it.
I know, and I already feel bad about that because honestly, being a farmer, that's not that difficult. I don't know.
Damon, to be fair, I know a way I can cheer you up.
Oh God.
Don't show him the fish.
Don't do the fish.
Don't show him the fish.
What do you think about this?
I don't know, Damon. What do you think about that?
That's a blowfish.
It's actually a sunfish.
Oh, you're right. It's a sunfish. They're huge.
Well, this one certainly is. Are you an angler, Damon? Do you fish?
I wouldn't want to catch a sunfish, to be honest with you. I think the boat would go down if you caught one of those.
I mean, certainly if you caught one the size of that, bloody hell. All right, I'm going to try to get this interview back on track as best as I can here. We just talked about all these incredible collaborators you have on Song Machine: Elton John, Robert E. Smith, Beck, and many others. How, as Gorillaz, is it a bit of an embarrassment of riches? Do you have the luxury of collaborating with anyone you want? Like, who's going to say no to Gorillaz? Like, I mean, has anyone ever turned you down?
A lot of people say no. A lot of people aren't interested in it at all, which is fine. You know, that's just. I mean, but we only ask people because we think we can do something interesting with them. So, you know, it's fine.
So who do you decide?
A lot of people say yes, so it's fine.
And so who do you decide who to approach? Like for Song Machine, this particular set of collaborators, how do you arrive at, like, what are the creative choices that lead you to decide these are the people that I want to collaborate with?
The Elton John story.
Please do.
Which I think, yeah. Well, when I was 7, I got picked up outside my primary school after school in Elton John's pink Bentley Phantom 5.
Oh.
That's how it started.
My goodness. And how does something like that happen?
Well, funny you should ask. But I got picked up in Elton John's Pink Phantom, and it was not him driving. It was his percussionist, Ray Cooper, who happened to be a family friend, just was a family friend. And he thought it'd be because I was going to a party or something. I can't quite remember the details. Anyway, the reason why he had this amazing car was because Elton John's band had earlier in the year gone on tour in what was the Soviet Union, which was the Iron Curtain, the USSR, or the Berlin Wall came down. And he had not been paid in money, he'd been paid in coal and logs. finding it hard to sell them to get the money back. So he didn't have any money to pay his musicians, so he gave them gifts, gave them his things, sort of to try and bridge the gap. I don't know. So that's the random story of me getting picked up in a Pink Phantom. But I told Jamie this story a couple of years ago, and he said, you've got to contact Elton and write a tune about that story, kind of sort of obliquely. That would be a great thing to do, and that's what we did, and that's how we got to that point.
You could have given me a million guesses at how you ended up collaborating with Elton John, and I never would have arrived at that one.
Yeah, but sometimes it's like that. Sometimes it's more kind of, we all just go, oh, that'd be a great person. Sometimes there's a real story behind it, and sometimes it's just like it's a suggestion that someone makes, and then everyone gets into it.
I do want to ask you about the video game connection here, because we are obviously on a talk show that's taking place inside a video game. Coincidentally, I actually discovered Gorillaz music from video games. Project Gotham Racing on the old Xbox, 2000. That's the first time I heard it, first Gorillaz song I ever heard. And I became a Gorillaz fan ever since. So thank you, for the millionth time in my life, thank you, video games.
Sorry to digress again. Did you come from the East End? Where did you come from in London?
I was born in Bethnal Green, and I grew up in the East End of London.
That does make you funny. I was just checking.
No, I'm a proper. I wouldn't miss. I was literally born within the sound of Bow Bells, Damon. It doesn't get any more.
I was born next to Bow Bells.
Were you really?
Yeah.
I was actually the last child born in Bethnal Green Hospital before they closed it down. Make of that what you will.
There you go. So we are kin. We are
kinfolk. Damon, I would like to add to my collection of, when I had Sting on the show, I basically twisted his arm to admit that he was my friend, and now I get to go around telling people that Sting's my friend. I'm feeling a bit cocky right now, and this is probably going to go very badly, but I'm going to ask you if I can have your permission to parade around telling people that Damon Albarn is my friend.
I never said friend, I said kin.
Well, I mean, that's even better. That's like we're family. I mean, family can hate each other.
No, I don't hate you. Of course I don't.
You know what? I'll take it. I can now go around saying Sting is my friend and Damon Albarn doesn't hate me. I think that's about as good as it's
Damon Albarn is my kin.
Is my kin. Oh my God. He said it, Adam. You heard him say it. And we have
made a mistake.
We have that recorded on
today,
3
Damon.
different channels right now. Yeah, you're going to be hearing that a lot in the future.
Bells is fair enough.
He's right. He's absolutely right about that. I'll teach you about that later, Adam. But seriously, this video game connection. So on
that's law. That's law with an E.
It's proper LORE law. That's right. So listen. So Song Machine has some really interesting video game connections in it. Episode 5. Is called Pac-Man, which of course very nicely coincides with the 40th anniversary of Pac-Man, which is this year, and it's all done officially with Namco. Jamie, did you have fun playing around in the Pac-Man universe and bringing that to life in your style?
I didn't really bring it to life in my style because we had to do it the way we were told
by Namco.
If you know what I mean. Well, I mean, it's Pac-Man. You can't really. We can't really mess around with the look of Pac-Man without upsetting somebody. So, no, it had to be exactly.
Put it into our world, Jamie.
Yeah, all right. It was a bit of a no-brainer, but I wasn't allowed to.
Very self-deprecating
way,
Jamie.
I'm actually drawing as we sit here.
Oh, you're working.
I've got to deliver something in like an hour, so I'm drawing at the same time. I do apologise.
Fair enough.
Deadlines.
All the more reason for me to wrap this up and let you go.
I just had a question. We were talking about your collaborators a minute ago, and I know that Damon, all of you have worked with a lot of like more non-mainstream folks, or maybe folks who haven't been heard of, maybe underappreciated artists. And I was just wondering if you do that consciously, that you want to try to put the spotlight on some people who
I think we just work with anyone that kind of sort of inspires us somehow,
right.
It's as simple as that. It's not calculated, really.
It's just if you kind of have the same vibe with them, then hopefully make some
great
music
exactly
together.
I mean, that's the beautiful thing, especially from my perspective. Is the music such a beautifully simple, universal language?
I do want to, before I let you go, I do want to talk to you about these Song Machine live shows you have coming up in December. You're doing 3 shows on December 12th and 13th, you're going to be streaming live to 3 different time zones. And of course, because of the pandemic, you'll be performing without a live audience. Tell us a little bit about those
we will
shows.
be performing. We will be integrated with our virtual world, the world of Gorillaz.
So tell me a little bit about how these shows are going to work, and you don't have the benefit of having like the feedback of a live audience. That audience is obviously going to be tuning in remotely via millions of live streams.
We're kind of sort of making it up as we go along, see, and just seeing what the possibilities are, and what can you do in 60 minutes that makes it worth everyone sitting down at home to watch it. You've got to give something more than just a live performance. That's a really important part of it, because that's where the music comes to life in a way. But I think anyone who watches them, I would hope will come out feeling like they've seen something that's never been done before.
So Song Machine Live, you can actually go to gorillazlivenow.com and go check that out. And again, we'll put the link in the description. 3 shows, December 12th, 13th. Very much looking forward to that. Let me just ask go ahead.
We're looking forward to it because it's going to be something new. It's for all of us.
One more question before I let you go, because I know you're very busy, and poor Jamie over there is furiously scribbling away. He's on deadline. What is the future of Gorillaz? Obviously, these virtual characters you've created, they don't age. Does that mean, obviously, you could do this for? Do you imagine doing Gorillaz for a long time to come, or is there a chance that you'll just get bored of it at some point and do something else?
Well, I think if it all ends up like this, then we can do it. Other people can do it, and no one will know it's not us.
That's true. You could just die and nobody would know, and someone else could carry on.
Jesus.
Sorry, that was way more depressing. That was a way more depressing thought than I wanted it to be.
I didn't find it depressing at all. I thought, wow, now there's an opportunity.
The physical Damon dies, but the virtual presence lives on.
The spirit remains.
I love it. Damon and Jamie, thank you so much for being so generous with your time here on the show. I really appreciate it.
I really enjoyed it. I think it's I think good luck with what you're doing. I think it's fantastic, and
I'm so glad. Thank you so much. You've both been wonderful guests. You both, of course, are welcome back here anytime. Right after the break, Gorillaz are going to perform Valley of the Pagans featuring Beck. That's going to be right after the break. Don't go away. My goodness, welcome back to Animal Talking. Thank you so much to both Damon Albarn and Jamie Hewlett for being such great guests. And now, as an extra special treat for Gorillaz fans, we have Gorillaz. We couldn't get all 4 of them to fit down here in our humble basement set, but we have 2D and we have Beck performing just for you. This is actually a debut performance, the latest track from their new album, Song Machine. Out today. This is The Valley of the Pagans by Gorillaz featuring Beck. Take it away.
Welcome to the land of the permanent sun, where the flowers are melted and the future is fun. The freeway lizards are feeling so good on the one-way trip back to West Hollywood. Let's go. It feels so good to have a perfect song. It feels so good to be in total control. It feels so good to have a perfect song. It feels so good to be in total control.
There were spotlights flying through the sky from a winter wonderland, catching out the bees hiding in the clouds. No future Batman, not before Christmas, not very likely. 100 million Viagra tablets stored in a warehouse in the valley.
It feels so good to have a perfect song. It feels so good to be in total control. It feels so good to have a perfect song. It feels so good to be in total control. It's so convincing, but something's missing. The sun is kissing my face and erasing my doubts. I'm
no one.
She's a plastic Cleopatra on a throne of ice. She's a hemophiliac with a dying battery life. Candy-colored fingers and solidified eyes. Thinking airbrush thoughts with the logo on her mind. It's so delightful. It's so insightful. It's so frightful. Yeah, feeling it every single fucking day. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's time to party. It's time to party.
In the valley where you wake up every beautiful day, and the world you created in your image is golden. Valley made of mirrors, all the light is so bright. You can feel like a pagan, you can feel like a pagan. In the valley where you wake up every beautiful day, and the world you created in your image is golden. Valley made of mirrors, all the light is so bright. You can feel like a pagan, you can feel like a pagan in the valley.
Yeah, I live in the valley. I heard there's a shaman out in the desert. They're getting really transcendental and hiking. I'm on a cleanse. Yeah, the hot tub is really chill.
Wow. Incredible. Incredible. Thank you so much, Gorillaz. Thank you so much, Beck. We'll be right back with more Animal Talking. Shroud will be joining us on the Animal Talking couch right after this. Don't go away. We are back. Thank you so much, Gorillaz and Beck. My goodness, for an incredible performance. That's off their new album, Song Machine, which is out right now. Go grab it. We started the show strong. The middle of the show was strong. And my goodness, are we going to end the show strong? My next and final guest is one of the most recognizable video gamers on the planet, a former esports legend, now a Twitch streaming legend. Please welcome to the show. I can't believe we got him. Please welcome to the show, the incredible Shroud.
Isn't it great? I almost burst into laughter before I came on frame there. That's funny.
The one thing I say to every guest we have on this show is I can't promise you much, but I promise you will have a good time. People are just tickled pink seeing their little characters.
It's cute.
Shroud, yeah. What do you? So okay. So we'll get into this in a moment. But like, you're a very recognizable video gamer, Shroud, as I said in your intro there. But you're not actually playing a video game right now. We're doing that little bit of magic where we have your avatar controlled remotely by a puppeteer. In this case, my wife Leah designed your avatar and is now controlling him. I think we weren't able to get you the perfect goatee that you wanted, but I think you look pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we were close. We were close. We went in one direction, too small of a goatee, and the other one was a full beard that I actually just can't grow, or else I would. I really would.
I love when I was talking to your team behind the scenes, and we always ask people to improve their avatar and like what kind of wardrobe do you want, and they said, well, with Shroud it's really simple. It's just kind of all black. If you really want to jazz it up, throw in some gray. Basically, was the
that's my whole wardrobe. I have those like shirts that are like really, really bright color that I just buy because I think they look nice and cool, and then they just sit there on the hangers in the wardrobe, just collecting dust.
So the whole black, the kind of monochromatic look, is that just your look like out in the real world, or is that more like an on-stream brand thing that you've cultivated?
I mean, honestly, I don't care about fashion. As in, I will just put anything on that fits.
Oh man,
like that's really
brothers.
On stream, I like to wear shirts that are more like goofy and like references to anime or video games. I like shirts like that, and they're always black. So yeah.
Are you a sweats guy? Are we brothers in sweatpants?
Yeah, absolutely. I love sweats. I don't even have any jeans anymore. Like quite literally, I don't.
I honestly can't remember the last time I
dream.
put on like real button-up pants. I think it would feel really strange.
Yeah.
I don't even know
Especially
what that would be
now,
like.
yeah.
So Shroud, you mentioned to me before the show that you played I said like, is Animal Crossing not your cup of tea? You said you played it for like 15 minutes. You didn't get into it?
No, I played it with my girlfriend because like honestly, we both just thought it was cute, and we're like, yeah, well, let's play. And then she got into it way more than I did. I don't even really remember what happened. I picked some apples off of trees. I built a tent, and then I was capped out. That's about all I did.
More generally, can you get into, because your brand is obviously like 360 no scopes, like high level, first person shooter type play. When you want to kick back though, can you go play like a more chill game like this?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I've done it in the past, and I'll continue doing so. I personally like them. Obviously, it's not on brand, but not everything has to be. I play everything.
Now you are who you are today, which is Shroud, this gaming colossus who strides the landscape of Twitch in a very impressive way. I'm so full of shit. I love it. I love my job. But take me back to the beginning. Give me the Shroud origin story. Where did you grow up, and what kind of childhood did you have?
Ooh, origin story. Okay. My childhood. Well, let's start where I grew up. Okay, I grew up in Toronto, around that area, GTA
You're surrounded
area.
by Canadians right
yeah,
now.
everyone here is Canadian except me. What's going on?
The area is called GTA, so just the greater Toronto area. So around there, I bounced around a lot. And I would say probably because I bounced around a lot, that might be why I played so many video games. My dad introduced me to the games because he's a gamer himself. So he played more games when I was younger than me, but then those roles flipped very, very quickly. And then I couldn't stop. I just kept playing over and over and over again. Like, if people think I play a lot of games now, back then, somehow, even with school, I don't know how I did it, but I definitely played more,
What were you like as a kid?
I was I would say pretty to myself, right? I had a group of friends that I hung out with, and that was it. I didn't really go out of my way to try to make more friends or anything. I was pretty content and happy with what I had. My main focus was just playing video games.
And so what's the first video game that you ever played? Like, what are your earliest video gaming memories?
One of the most popular ones was Counter-Strike, which is what I ended up being professional in later. So I played that a lot with my dad, and my dad had this like really, really sweet basement full of just a whole row of computers. We had 4 or 5 computers lined up, so I played with other people. But besides that, it was other shooters like Battlefield 1942. I played Medal of Honor. I played a lot of those games.
So you were a shooter guy like from the very beginning.
Yeah, 100% on PC, like off the rip. That's just what my dad taught me, and that's just what stick. No, it just stuck like that.
I love that you're a chip off the old block. I never knew that about you, that you had a gamer dad who got you into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that he doesn't play much anymore, but he played a lot.
And at what point in your early first-person shooter adventures did you start to realize that you were actually really good, like really, really good?
I feel like I noticed it when I was younger, because every single person that I played with or met, they would always, whether it was through high school or elementary school, they would always brag about how good they are. And I was like, oh yeah, we should 100% let's play. Like, it could be fun. And they always ended up being the exact opposite. So I was just like, is everyone just like lying or what? And then as I started like the whole streaming thing, I still noticed that same feeling. And I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm actually pretty good. And then it just took off.
And at what, I mean, there are plenty of people out there who are really good at games, but they're not necessarily at the level where they can go pro and actually pursue a career. Like at what point do you reach that kind of tipping point? Like, I can actually make a living doing this.
I don't know. I feel like every single person that I've talked to, and even from my experience, is it seems like a lot of it is just luck, because there's a lot of talented people out there, but it's all about being at the right place at the right time, and someone gives you a shot and you take that shot and it just works out. But in some cases, people can be really, really good, but they might not even be given the shot, or if they do get that shot, they kind of blow it. So there is a lot of luck to it,
And what was your first shot? Like, what do you feel like was your first big break professionally?
I would say typically most people, when they're starting off, when they're gaming, they go through a series of like competitive leagues, and there's always like small time stuff that's a thing. And to get somewhere, you have to go through that, right?
You got to make your bones. You got to pay your dues.
Yeah. So you kind of grind the ladder and the leaderboard, so to speak, and then eventually somebody notices you somewhere and they give you like a tryout, right? And that's, if you're talking like a team game, that's where I had my break. I had like a tryout for a really, really good team at the time. And once I joined them, I ended up realizing that they weren't that great of a team, so then I went into a better one. And then that's when I joined C9, and that's when I jumped into like the big leagues.
Now, I'm no esports historian, but I'm aware of the fact that it's really, you know, kind of seen explosive growth just in the last few years. Take me back when you first broke in. What was the esports scene like at that time? Was it still pretty nascent?
Oh wow, it was extremely different. Like I remember, it's just so small. Like the hotels you had were like these 2 to 3 star hotels, because like back then the tournament organizers didn't cover everything, so everything was out of your budget. And if you weren't on a big organization, it was actually out of your budget, so you had to make like budget cuts. So even the organizations at the time, since nobody knew what was going to happen, the budget wasn't very high, so it was just a lot of that, a lot of crappy flights and crappy hotels and food.
And okay, so I'm going to ask you about like where you are now in a moment, but since you brought that up, just on that one specific point, like what's that experience like now? Is it like, what's your rider like now? Are people picking like the brown M&Ms out of your M&Ms in the hotel room? Like,
yes, they are treating
how's
me.
How's the experience? Like you said, 2-star, 3-star hotels. I imagine now when you travel to do these things, it's a bit different.
So it's funny because when I started, I felt like, wow, this is really unfair. Like this doesn't feel good. Like I feel like we're being like undertreated, you know, and now I'm being way over.
They're finally compensating
where
for those
I am
early
like,
years.
I am quite literally a king, and I'm just like, okay, relax. You don't have to do this much for me. Like I'm a human. I could do my own stuff, you know. So it literally is that they are actually picking apart. Like, oh, you don't like the green Skittles? Oh, okay, we'll get rid of them. Like it actually is like that. It's funny.
I'm the same. I don't like it when someone meets you at the airport and carries your bag. Like I can do this myself. Like people open doors for you. It makes me uncomfortable.
It does. It does. I'm like that as well.
So you became one of the top CSGO players in the game. You're on one of the top teams. And then you totally changed direction. You announced that you were quitting competitive esports and decided instead to move into content creation on Twitch instead. Talk me through that decision. Did you feel like you just accomplished everything that there was for you to accomplish in esports? Like, talk me through that.
So what a lot of people knew at the time is obviously I was streaming and competing at the same time. So whenever I had any free time off of practice, off of tournament travel, I would stream. And sometimes I'd even stream while traveling. So people obviously knew that I really, really liked it. So after years of juggling both, I just kind of said like, you know, enough's enough. Like I'm kind of trying to do two things at the same time. And I felt like I wasn't going 100% on either of them. So I said, screw it. I need to make a decision. I either need to stop streaming as much and completely cancel that out, or stop competing. So I weighed the options and I was like, I started as a streamer. That's originally what I wanted to do. Right. I actually didn't even want to compete. That just kind of happened. And I was like, oh yeah, why not? So I was like, all right, I'm going back to the roots. We're going full live stream all the way.
Was it as simple a decision of like, this is just what I enjoy doing more?
Yeah, it was simply that, like being able to have your own schedule. Like I can do whatever I want, my own freedom. I don't have to go to tournaments. I don't have to travel unless I want to travel. I personally am not a huge fan of traveling, so that was a big one for me.
Do you miss the esports scene? And if so, what do you miss about it?
The thing that I miss the most is competing on stage. That is the 100% best feeling ever, when you make like an amazing play and the whole audience is cheering and you can feel like the rumble in your feet and you can feel it in your chest. Like,
oh man, you're putting me there. I feel like I'm there. You're putting me there. You're painting me a picture.
The adrenaline rush. Your heart is like, you literally could just feel your heartbeat. It's a unique feeling that I honestly am probably never going to feel again, because now I do these kinds of shows and I would compete live in front of people, but it's not the same stakes, right? I'm just there for fun. So I'll never get that like really high pressure feeling ever again. So that's what I miss most.
Do you imagine it's the same feeling that like a rock star feels when they step out on stage in front of a big like stadium crowd or something?
I mean, honestly, yeah, I really do. I obviously don't know because I'm not a rock star. But
oh, you're a gaming rock star.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'd imagine it's similar. You have this huge crowd and they're cheering the second you do anything amazing, right? And they're doing it for you. So I'd imagine it's similar.
Kate, do you relate to this? I mean, you've competed professionally, like at TwitchCon and Twitch Rivals, and you've been in those big arenas. Do you have that same experience, feeling the kind of the pulsation of the crowd driving you to victory?
I mean, I'd say on a lesser scale, but like maybe
I think that goes without saying. You're sitting next to Shroud.
Well, going into it, I don't know if I'm like winning at all. So I don't have the skill behind it, but yeah, it's fun. I enjoy that part of it. It's different though, like because both of us have competed at home and both of us have competed in arenas. I've only done arenas like once or twice, but when you're at home, you know, like you're in sweats and your cat's hanging out and you can step away if you need to, but the arena thing is like a totally different experience.
But you're still aware of a lot of people watching you. Like Kate, you and I both competed in that Formania tournament where you did very, very well and I did just kind of okay. And I feel like the reason I didn't play my best was I was really aware of the fact that a lot of people were watching me, and that's got to play into like the mental game that you bring to it, right? The pressure of knowing that you're playing in front of a big crowd.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
like personally. I don't think so, but
you don't think
IRL,
so?
like in stadiums, yeah, not when I'm at home though.
Oh,
you know, Kate. You know, Kate's got ice water in her veins. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know we were talking. Pressure. I thought we were talking in a stadium still. I didn't know we were talking at home for whatever reason.
Even at home, just seeing like a big number, like a big viewer count, I'm like, oh my god, all these people are watching me right now. I feel very seen.
Yeah, I feel like that. Honestly, that is way easier to get over. So I agree with Kate that I could have 1 million people watching me and I will not just care. Honestly, I really won't. It makes no. I've been doing it so long that it makes no difference to me. But there's definitely a different feeling of like actually hearing and physically feeling the audience.
Right.
Yeah. Like the other night I was playing and there was, a ton of people watching. I had no concept of that until somebody in my chat was like, did you know that you have as many people watching that could fill up, and then like named, like a baseball stadium or something. And I was like, that's terrifying to think about. If you could never say that again, I would appreciate it, because I don't want to I don't want to have to visualize it. If it's a number on the screen and it doesn't matter, but as soon as it's put in those like type of context, I'm like, oh, I don't like that. That's uncomfortable.
Shroud, what don't you miss about the esports days? It sounded like the whole, like, the big arenas and the pulse pounding, feeling, like you said, the kind of vibrations between your feet. That all sounds wonderful, but there must have been other elements of it, other aspects of your esports years that you're not so solidly behind.
I mean, this kind of goes back to when I was weighing the pros and cons to making the decision of going streaming or keep pro gaming. The cons were being like heavily like critiqued, and just they dissect you and they're so rude about it, everybody, right? Like if you have, it doesn't matter how many good games you would have, if you have one bad game or one bad round, they will completely destroy you, like the community, right? So that sucked. And like I said before, I'm just not a huge fan of travel, and there was a lot of traveling back then. Like I'm talking, I spent more time outside of my home back then. It was crazy. It was traveling literally every single week. Sometimes I'd be gone for like a month or two at a time, doing like a European tour where you're just going back and forth and around Europe.
Now, you've obviously earned the right to have a lot of self-confidence because you've been tremendously successful in what you do. But what's interesting is, because I feel this all the time as well, is even though you're successful, when people do criticize you, when you do occasionally fail and people say, oh, Shroud sucks or whatever, that still hurts you, right? You're not immune to that.
Yeah, no. I don't think anyone is. I don't think you can ever really be immune to that. You could just get better at dealing with it.
What is your view? I don't know how engaged you still are now that you've kind of left it professionally, but what is your view of the current esports scene? It has seen this explosive growth over the last few years, packing out these massive arenas and ESPN and all these kind of TV, production values. What's your view of kind of the current state of esports? And if you were like the commissioner of esports, is there stuff that needs fixing? What would you want to change if you could wave a magic wand?
I mean, I feel like that's a complicated question just because there's so many different games and every game does it differently. And I think there is a better decision based off of what game you're talking about.
Right.
But right now it's also very difficult to judge and gauge anything because, 2020 has been a crazy year and it's, still not over. And right now everyone's all online and nobody really cares to watch online competitions. It's all about in person. That's what anyone cares about. So it's kind of like a hard time to judge any of it,
Yeah, and it's obviously going to be a while before we get back to that. But you're right. I think the virtual tournaments are, it's never going to be the same.
I would say if I had to pick one thing is oversaturation. Saturation is very important. If you create too many tournaments, the rivalries don't really start because who cares that they lost the game? They'll just play against each other next week.
Right.
That's not, no, you got to live up to that moment. You got to make it way more serious than that.
Do you think there's too much esports right now?
In certain games, yeah. Some games do it right. I think League of Legends does it very, very well. But games like Counter-Strike, from my experience, I think there was way too much, and there probably still is.
So we've gotten the Shroud origin story, the story that's kind of brought you here today, onto the storied Animal Talking couch. By the way, Shroud, I don't know if you know this, but your virtual butt is seated exactly where Selena Gomez's virtual butt was, and Sting before her. It's a very special couch that you're sitting on right now. And the next person that comes on, I'll say, guess whose butt was on there? Shroud's. Maybe you will leave like a Turin Shroud type imprint on the
oh my God.
on the couch.
Maybe actually, since we're talking about butts, I was at a tournament one time and another streamer named Jake and Bake, he's a live streamer and he always streams live content IRL. He walks around, travels. He actually came up behind my seat and his chat told him to sniff my seat because I sat in it, and he did it, and he was so happy about it. He loved it.
Oh my God! You could do. Who was that person who sold her bathwater? Could you sell your sweaty, mouse mats or something? I don't know.
You could
sell your goatee.
You could do anything on the internet, You could do
Ode to Shroud. Bottle it up and sell it.
Yep.
I don't like this at all.
I apologize. I don't have a whole team of writers like Fallon. It's just me making it up as I'm just doing what I can. I'm doing what I can with very little resources over here.
Oh my God.
So let's look at where Shroud is today. My goodness, these metrics: 8.4 million followers on Twitch, 6.5 million YouTube subscribers, nearly 2 million followers on Twitter. I don't know what the situation is today, but the last time I checked, which is just a couple of days ago, you are currently in the top 3 streamers on all of Twitch, right behind Ninja and Tfue. You've built this amazing brand name. I was blown away when they announced your return to Twitch and they played that "There's Only One King" trailer with all the Hollywood CG and stuff. I was like, oh my God, this is what it's really become at the top end. Do you? I mean, I know that you're in the middle of it, but are you able to kind of step back outside of that and go, this is kind of nuts what this has become? Look at my life.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that almost every other day. I can't believe that. I like to think of it as I am born at the perfect time, if I was born maybe 3 or 4 years prior, it would be completely different. And I know of people who are really good at video games, and it's just a different world to them. If they were born at the same year I was, they would be in my position. You know what I mean? So it's crazy to think about. It really is.
And
that audience, the sheer scale of that audience, I can't even comprehend in my brain. But I started streaming just over a month ago. So if you are looking for a protege that is really bad at video games and you want to make me good, and you gain literally nothing out of this arrangement.
That I can guarantee. Yes, you would gain. I don't know. Are you looking for a Padawan right now? I doubt it, frankly, but you never know.
People actually talk about stuff like that, streaming programs and how to get better at it. And honestly, I just don't think that's a thing that you can truly teach and like help and guide somebody with. It's not that simple, you know?
Yeah.
So no, I'm not looking for one.
That's a
You
very,
can very quickly tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Well, there is a market.
Trust
for
me, Adam.
people
You don't
being
need
bad.
Shroud for that.
There is a market for that. I mean, Tim the Tap Man was playing Fall Guys, and he had so many people watching him just fail, and they loved it.
Yeah,
so
why
there,
don't that many
failing's-
people want to watch me fail?
Failing's been a
I'm
thing,
good at
you
it.
know? All the YouTube videos, the fail compilations, those are
I
a
love
thing.
them.
Mm-hmm.
I love them. I got to say, since you were talking about Fall Guys, we talked about this a little bit before the show, and maybe I'll find a clip to chop in here in the edit. But Kate and I both really enjoy playing Fall Guys. Adam does too. We love playing that game. And we were talking about how it has this amazing ability to make players rage. And I saw this clip of you playing it and raging. And I remember thinking at the time, my goodness, if this game can make Shroud the most composed, because that's your thing, right? You're very composed. You don't rage. You don't remonstrate. Like you're a very cool cucumber. But I saw you like getting all grabby and getting pissy in Fall Guys. I'm like, man, this game is doing something because Shroud is raging. I didn't think that was possible. Are you still playing Fall Guys? Have you enjoyed playing that?
I think it's fun from time to time, but for those reasons, it does make me rage because it's 60 people that I can't control, and then I can't even control my guy very well, and like that's the whole purpose of the game. You're supposed to fall, you're supposed to struggle, even if you're insanely good at it.
Right.
And stuff that you can't control makes me rage. So
yeah,
I think the clip I saw of you that I loved the most was like your first time playing it, and you started off by saying like, "Get away from me! I just want to play the game. Like, get away from me, Griefer! Stop grabbing me!" And within the same breath, you were like, "You motherfucker, come here! I'm gonna throw you off the map."
Let me
And I
grab
was
you.
like,
Yeah.
that is like the distillation of Fall Guys for everybody.
It's
so
a sad
funny.
character arc that you see. This kind of fall from grace. Everyone goes into Fall Guys with their best intentions, and they get grabbed. And then they become a griefer. It's like, well, he grabbed me, so I'm going to grab someone else. And it's like this: someone's got to break the cycle of hatred in Fall Guys, or forever will it dominate your destiny.
from the start.
Shroud, we talked
from
about
the
how you become this kind of legitimate, gaming superstar with kind of the Hollywood graphics and this very, very cool brand image that you've cultivated. And we do fulfill the talk show social contract here. If you come on our show, we're happy to help you promote the latest stuff you've got going on. The latest stuff you've got going on is this branding partnership with Logitech G. They're not just sponsoring you. I've never seen this before. They've released a whole range of Logitech peripherals, mice, keyboards, mouse pads with the Shroud branding on it. That's kind of astonishing.
Yeah, I mean the most amazing part for me is that that I am the first creator that they're partnering with. They've partnered with bigger organizations, like esports orgs, but not a single partner like myself. So like when I first heard that it was a possibility, I literally was like, yes, give me that.
It's so funny to see how far you've come. I don't think there's any argument that you are inarguably, in my mind at least, a celebrity in a field that is as valid and as big now as Hollywood movies or music or sports, whatever. You're a celebrity. Is that something you're comfortable with? Do you like that? Do you like being famous?
There's pros and cons. I do like it, but it can get weird, of course, because in a way, you don't really have much of a personal life, like a private life. I mean, everything is just kind of shared. People know so much about you, and that's the kind of scary part about it. But it definitely is an amazing feeling to just walk down the street and someone's super happy to see you. It's weird. It's weird, but it's amazing.
That was going to be my exactly my next question. I mean, these days, of course, you can't even walk down the street. But back in the day, in the before times, when you could walk down the street, could you go to the grocery store? If you go to the grocery store, how many times out of 10 is someone going to point at you or recognize you or come talk to you?
I mean, honestly, because I live in California, I would say a lot of California people are gamers. So it happens quite often here. In almost every restaurant I've been in, somebody has recognized me, whether it's the waiter, waitress, or just someone sitting across the table.
Wow.
It's crazy.
And how often do you welcome and enjoy that interaction? And how often are you kind of like, oh, no, I'm really not in the mood. I just want to have dinner and be left alone.
I mean, I love it personally, but when I can usually tell when someone's pushing too far. If I am always welcome to something brief, and little small talk, and then they're on their way. But some people just don't get that. Some people just stick around, and that's the only time I'll actually kind of get annoyed, is when they don't have that very good feeling of personal space and trying to respect people's privacy, and then they go too far. So that happens rarely, but it does happen from time to time. But I know when it happens, I could feel it out pretty well.
But you would say that the majority of interactions that you have with like random fans who approach you are good ones?
Yeah, they're great. They're great.
Just as this wasn't even a question on my list, but just as a random observation as I'm talking to you, and I've noticed this from your streams, but it's doubly apparent to me as I talk to you. You have a very resonant quality to your voice. I wonder if that has played into your success as a streamer at all. It's just like you just have a voice that's like kind of pleasing to listen to.
I honestly think so, because I've noticed, since we're talking about people recognizing me, I've noticed that more people recognize me from my voice than anything else. Like, I'll be in a line and I'll be talking, and my voice is pretty loud. I talk pretty loud, but normally, and that's how people recognize me. I could walk right past a person and they can look right at me. They won't recognize me, but the second I talk to whoever I'm with, they instantly turn around,
Yeah, I mean, it has this very distinctive kind of resonant, kind of deep. I don't know if it's a bass or a tenor. I'm not. It just has that. You know what I mean? It has that quality to it.
Yep.
I love it. It's DJ Knight's the other one, whose voice is just like butter, and Frisk.
yeah.
I can just listen to that. Frisk and DJ. I want to get a show with Frisk and DJ Knight and Shroud on here, and it would just be like the ASMR streamer talk. I don't care. Just read the phone book, and I'll be happy.
Yeah.
I would be thrilled. So Shroud, I do want to talk to you about. So it's actually kind of interesting that you're on the show this very week, because this week is the 1-year anniversary of you making very, very big headlines when you announced that you were leaving Twitch to move to Mixer, and obviously that move, and along with Ninja's move to Mixer, for like staggering, eye-watering sums of money. And it was like, is this big, like, oh my god, is this going to change the streaming game? Mixer's making all of these big moves. They're kind of hoovering up all these big streamers with these mega rich deals. But of course, it didn't work out that way. Mixer folded earlier this year, and you and Ninja returned to Twitch. Microsoft shut it down. A lot of streamers were left very upset by the way that was handled, even.
Yeah.
I mean, so just from your point of view, looking back on it all now, on the 1-year anniversary of you moving to Mixer, like how do you reflect on that? What are your thoughts looking back?
I mean, I would say for me personally, it in a way worked out pretty well.
I would agree.
I wasn't particularly like happy about it though, because like, yeah, you're right. It did suck for a lot of people. And I think if a streaming platform like that wants to make, power moves, I don't think, from experience, from like what I've seen, I don't think throwing a bunch of money on particular big streamers is the way. I think the right way is to just do it in masses and try to get as many smaller content creators on it, and that's how you build the growth. You build it through not viewers coming, but people streaming on your platform coming, right? So maybe let's just use like $1 million. Instead of giving $1 million to one person, give $1 million to 100 people. I think that might have been the better approach, looking at it now.
So again, looking at the kind of holistic view, obviously hoovering up, paying big money to get a handful of like AAA streamers over there. In retrospect, obviously easy to say, yeah, that was not the right approach. On a broader level, why do you think Mixer didn't work? Because the people that I know that were over there actually really liked it. There's a lot of things about Mixer that they liked better than Twitch in terms of the way that it handled community and the features and just the aesthetic. The people who liked Mixer really, really liked it, but ultimately it just couldn't get that critical mass to succeed. Do you think that demonstrates that there was something wrong in the way Mixer went about it, or does it demonstrate that Twitch is just a monopoly and there's just no room for another big streaming platform in this space?
I feel like there's always room for another platform. I feel like that's a thing, but I feel like if I had to pick something, it would be accessibility. And by that I mean Twitch does a fantastic job of having the Twitch app on everything.
This is true. I watch a lot of it on my Apple TV.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's everywhere. And Mixer really, really, really struggled with that. It was so difficult to watch on other devices.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important. Not everyone, a majority of people actually don't even watch on the computer. They watch elsewhere on Twitch,
Right. Yeah, like I watch most of mine. I love to kick back and watch it on my big screen on the Twitch Apple TV. That's really, really good.
Me too.
So, okay, so I know you said earlier that you don't really feel like this kind of stuff can be taught, but I want to press you on it a little bit. It's a question I asked Kate earlier in the day as another streamer who's had a lot of success, particularly recently. Having been through this, you know, nobody handed any of this to you. You started from nothing. Like, first of all, let me ask you: do you remember your first? Because Shroud wasn't even your first Twitch name, right? Do you remember your first ever Twitch streams, like grinding, trying to get like just even to triple digits, people watching your channel?
Yeah, no, I remember them perfectly, honestly. I remember some of my first users in my chat, and my first name was M Eclipse. So people like to call it Meclipse. And the main reason I put the M there, M was for Michael, and Eclipse was the name I used at the time because, I don't know, I just had the name randomly from younger age.
And where did Shroud come from?
Shroud came from a synonym of Eclipse, actually. That's how I felt like
how
it
interesting.
was. Yeah, I was like, you know what? I need to change my name. So the first thing I did is like, all right, well, let's just start with a synonym of Eclipse. And I looked at a bunch of different names. There were some really weird ones.
You got your name from a thesaurus, basically.
Yeah, no, I did. I searched. I literally went there and I had like 2 or 3 names picked, and I gave it to some of my friends. They all picked Shroud, and then I went and I searched Shroud on all like social media, all the games I play, and for the most part, it wasn't taken. So I was like, yep, that's the one.
Well,
worked out well, huh?
Yeah, certainly worked out
the right
right
one,
for you.
obviously.
Yeah,
yeah,
that worked out nicely.
I didn't think much at the time, but the name is, I like it now. You know,
it's a good name. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It has a good ring to it. And as I said, you did grind your way up from nothing, as every successful streamer has to one degree or another. And looking back now, and again, I know you said this stuff can't be taught, but I do want to ask you, I kind of all the successful streamers. Kate, I've asked this on Lupo. I want to ask you as well. To the extent that it cannot really be taught, though, what advice would you now give to streamers? Because we've seen, especially during the past few months, when people are stuck at home looking for something to do, all kinds of celebrities, all kinds of people are getting a webcam and a mic, and all kinds of new streamers are coming to the platform. What advice would you give to streamers who are just starting out or trying to grow their channel in the Twitch of 2020?
Yeah, I mean, I give the same advice always, and I think it's the best advice. Every single top streamer that you've seen did not want, I mean, I guess they wanted, but they did not think that they would quote unquote make it, right? They just streamed because they loved it and they thought it was a fun thing to do. So my best advice that I could give to people is don't go so hard on this and yourself if you're not making it, if you're struggling, because like it really is a hobby. To everyone that's at the top, it started as a hobby and they just happened to get to the top, right? So I would treat it like that. Don't treat it like a job until you actually can.
But the people who got to the top, though, just to challenge you on this for a second, the people who got to the top didn't just happen to. It wasn't luck, right? It was they had something that other streamers didn't have, right? Is it elite level skill? Is it personality? Is it community? Like what is it that makes the difference between those people who make it to the upper echelons and those who don't?
I would say it's kind of like everything, and it is a little bit of luck because you can put 2 of the same people next to each other and they're both not going to make it. A lot of it's right place at the right time.
Absolutely. I agree.
And there isn't enough room for everybody to make it. You know what I mean? If that makes sense, right? So
no, I mean, I'm quite sure there's someone else out there right now who is roughly as good at games as you and is just a nicer person, but they're not going to make it because as good as they might be, the RNG is just not going to favor them.
No, yeah, absolutely. There's a couple ways of doing it, right? Like another suggestion for people would be find the right game, one that is not overly saturated and one that isn't so unknown. You got to pick like a game that has a really, really like flourishing community, and it might not be that big on these different platforms, and that's the game you want. You get big on that game and then you start to branch out. You can't just expect to play Fortnite with 0 viewers and make it. That's not how that works.
What? That was my strategy.
See, you have a Padawan whether you like it or not, Shroud.
Shit.
Adam's learning all kinds of stuff from you. I asked you before. It's interesting. I asked you before the show. Again, you have the luxury, really, of at this point having established yourself to such a degree of really doing whatever you want on your channel. You can play any obscure game that you want, and people are going to be interested in watching it because it's Shroud that's playing it. And the perfect example is the success. I love this story about Among Us that's been around. It's been out for a couple of years, and it was actually streamers discovering it after a couple of years of it sitting around being ignored that led to it becoming a success. I think that's a fascinating story in and of itself. But I asked you before the show, like, to what extent do you just play the games that you feel like playing, and what extent do you feel like you're playing games that your audience wants to see you play?
I feel like at this point I could literally play anything. I could play anything. I could do nothing. I could sit here and stare at my monitor all day, and I'll have thousands.
You should try it.
God, that sounds great.
Like, if you just you go live and you don't say a word and you stare at your monitor for 8 hours, people will love it, right?
Well, yeah. Have you been to Just Chatting? I know it's true.
Yeah.
That's what 99% of Just Chatting is. People that don't even seem to know their camera is on, just staring at their monitor.
So once you build that brand, you really could do anything. Obviously, I wouldn't recommend you do it all the time, because then people might get over it, right? But if you do it a little bit here and there, people don't seem to really care.
And that's what I want to ask you about, Shroud, because I had a similar experience when I first started streaming. I play fewer games. I still play Fall Guys and Among Us and games that I like to play. But when I was really trying to find games that I felt like were a good fit for my stream when I first starting out, I didn't want to play the super popular games because I didn't want to be a small fish in a big pond. I tried it a couple of times when Borderlands 3 came out. I jumped in and I just felt like I got swallowed up at like the very bottom of, because all the top streamers are playing it, and you're going to end up at the bottom of the rankings. When I played weird little obscure games like, Pro Fishing whatever or Train Simulator, people seem to find that more interesting. So I don't know, when you're, like I said, at your level, you can play whatever you want. But if you're just trying to build an audience and attract people's attention, is it a good idea to be playing the Fortnites and the PUBGs and the Among Us and the mega games? Because you are going to be a small fish in a very big pond.
I mean, yeah, like I said before, it's honestly a very bad idea to play those popular games, because you will just be flooded. There's just so many people in that directory that it's crazy, right? But then you can't play the obscure games, because the only reason the obscure games are fun and popular are because of the big people, right?
Right.
So when the big people aren't playing them, you're not going to get anything. You got to find right in the middle a game with a very well established and built community.
I mean,
that's how you get the views.
Is there a school of thought that just says don't overthink it and just play what you want to play? Be true to yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's how most people did it, right? Like I said, 99% of the people at the top are people who just wanted to do this because it was fun. Maybe they could stream to like their mom or their friends, just so they could watch. And then it just all of a sudden happened, right? So it really is just a hobby.
I have a question for you that I always like when we have, been fortunate to have some really successful people here on the show, people that are kind of at the top of their chosen fields, and you certainly are that as well. So I want to ask you a question I always like to ask those people. What do you know now that you wish you'd known back when you were getting started?
Ooh, that is a
look how thoughtful you look on screen right now. Look at this. Contemplative.
That's a difficult question.
It's a deep question.
Wow.
Yeah, right. I'm challenged. I said this wasn't going to be an insightful show, but here you go for a moment of true profundity. Look at this. I've stumped Shroud.
No, this is wow. You actually really stumped me. What would I want to know?
I mean, it's hard to say that you would change anything, because what do you want to be?
Yeah, because it went so
even
well,
more
right?
successful. But
yeah, if it went terribly, I'd give you a million reasons.
It's kind of a very subtle passive flex that Shroud's doing right now. It's like, yeah, I mean, what could I possibly change? I mean, everything worked out perfectly.
I would say maybe just like personal like things that you would learn as just like a human being, like in terms
that counts.
of,
Let's hear some of that. Let's have some like life lessons.
In terms of like being able to, one, handle criticism, and two, give criticism. I feel like even now I struggle to criticize people, and I might do it in a more aggressive way when I don't mean to, right? That's just kind of how it comes off sometimes. And when other people are criticizing me, I might have taken it way too literally or way too offensively in the past. So yeah, I would say those things, but I was just younger, so it's a little different then. I would expect anyone to be like that.
Twitch.tv/Shroud is, of course, the channel. As you know, we're always happy to help up-and-coming streamers make a name for themselves here on Animal Talking. Hopefully we can get the word out about Shroud and what he's doing over there on Twitch. In all seriousness, though, if I were to go to your, I think your next streaming date is, as we're recording this tomorrow. If I show up at your stream like now, this week, whatever, what am I going to see you doing? What are you into right now?
Right now, I am probably going to be into Valorant. It'll most likely be first-person shooters, so it could be Valorant, it could be Call of Duty, could be a game called Escape from Tarkov.
I see Lupo playing that constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fun game. It's very unique. Like literally one of the most unique games you'll ever play. So
the shooters are obviously where your brand is. But you're like Mr. 360 no scope, super aiming, crosshairs. Oh my God, where did that sniper shot come from? How much do you venture out of that into other genres of games?
I would say recently I've been venturing out a lot more than I have in the past. Just because I feel like some first-person shooters are getting kind of boring to me, so I play other stuff that I might find more entertaining, like RPGs. I love RPGs. So yeah, recently I've been doing it more often than not, actually.
And we're coming up to that point at time of the year. The holidays are coming. It's usually when all the big games come out. Is there anything on the horizon that you're particularly excited to get your hands on and start playing?
100%. Cyberpunk.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that everyone's answer? My goodness. Yeah. But can you imagine if it was disappointing?
It could be. It really could. I personally, what I've said before is I don't think it will live up to the anticipation and hype that people have because
what could, right?
It's so high up there, right?
Yeah, it's nutty. But I've never seen hype for a game like this.
I think it's going to be a very solid and definitely unique game, and that's all that we can really ask for right now, instead of the same like cookie cutter formula that everyone else does, you know.
Are you 100% a PC guy? Do the new next generation consoles excite you at all?
They really excite me, and the reason why they really excite me is because I can finally, hopefully, not use a controller. I only use controllers on the current gens because playing on mouse and keyboard there's so much input delay and like lag that is so hard to do. Yeah, no, it is a very, very difficult thing to do. I just play on a controller.
I never thought about it. So we've heard so much recently about like all of the different performance and quality of life improvements that the next gen consoles will bring in terms of load times and things like that. But I never thought about that, about it making mouse and keyboard gaming on console more viable.
That's exactly why I could play these exclusives and stuff and actually play on a setup that I'm comfortable with.
That's I never thought of that. That's so interesting. I think it's almost time to wrap up. Shroud, you've been an absolutely wonderful guest. I'm actually going to step out from behind my my little chair here. I forgot to give people party poppers. I'm completely lost now. Where am I? Where do I go? Oh my God, my camera's all a mess. You know what? I'm gonna. Oh my God, look at my camera filters going all wrong. Here's something for you to edit out, Adam. I'm gonna.
Oh, I won't be editing
it out. Here. I'm gonna come back over here. So at the end of the show here, I play a little intro music, and we just basically spin around like mad people. And it's just a nice way to end the show. You won't hear the music, but the audience will. I do just want to say it's so good to be back. We've been away for about 7 or 8 weeks. Animal Talking is back. If not on a regular basis, it's definitely back. Please tune in next week for the live Halloween Spooktacular next Friday. By the way, Shroud, if you want to drop in, you're welcome to come back for our Halloween Spooktacular next Friday. We're going to tell ghost stories. We're going to put on costumes. We're going to have a lot of fun. To Kate Stark, Damon Albarn, Jamie Hewlett, Gorillaz, and of course Shroud, thank you so much for joining us on Animal Talking, and we'll see you next time.